What looked like a slaughterhouse turns into a demon's proud little disaster. The king calls it an execution, which is rich considering the bloodbath. House Vinca is named, and the survivor suddenly feels way less smug. Then the battlefield flashes white. Like reality itself got bullied aside. House Vinca's wrath keeps escalating, and the noble fools start panicking. The king scolds the chaos, whining about treason and overkill, like that helps. Meanwhile, the horned brat tears in, proving the demon realm is already broken. Demon King Gamudere Vinca arrives, looking bored enough to end careers. The chained youth blames House Hilt, claiming their elders were hopelessly useless, and that excuse somehow makes the whole family feud even more pathetic. In the demon court, one hooded noble screams that crimes went unchecked, while the mystery figure's cold stare says this bloodbath is personal. Then Gamudere Vinca cuts in, preaching procedure like a king with manners, but the chained youth smirks, mocking that procedure as a joke, because his darkness answer is louder, uglier, and embarrassingly unhinged, until the Demon King's silence crushes the room harder than any threat, and the brat keeps shouting at his father, the great Demon King, claiming House Vinca's order is rotten and the nobles are the disease. Gamudere finally brands him a fool, exposing that short-sighted tantrum, because House Vinca survives only by destroying House Hilt first. Inside the Vinca throne hall, the brat dares blame House Hilt's cowards, while Gamudere Vinca answers with that icy, ancient fury king's perfect. Then the chained youth only sighs, refusing to respect the verdict, as the Demon King declares the black seats have already judged him. Lavis Vindica finally gets named, and his punishment becomes banishment, yet that human realm verdict hits him harder than he expected, because he starts panicking, begging his father to reconsider everything, but Gamudere keeps towering there, turning mercy into a luxury tax, and the boy insists he only killed the hilt brats, not their souls, so the king orders execution at once, and the room turns feral. Lavis still spits defiance through the chains, refusing this verdict, while the Demon King's magic cages him under cold judgment, and that smug face shatters fast when the sentence lands. Gamudere calls it banishment. Then the little rogue prince panics, begging for mercy like dignity was never part of the plan, but the king answers with lethal authority, leaving no loopholes, as Lavis blurts out that he only killed hilt brats, and gets handed the human realm's brutal rules instead: one host body, one lifespan, 0 human bloodshed, or annihilation. Then the room goes feral, and his crash out turns legendary. Lavis stares blankly, already realizing this human body is a joke. Even his hands feel twisted and useless under the curse, and that smug defiance curdles into a pained, ugly groan, because the banishment lands hard, leaving him furious and humiliated. Then he starts ranting about Bambi and those hilt bastards, still obsessed with revenge, as if horns are his biggest problem, but this pathetic shell keeps collapsing on him from the inside, making him question whether he is trapped in a garbage body, while the room's pressure crushes every last bit of bravado, and even breathing here feels like surviving a personal disaster. The room goes tense at that odd noise, and Minho already hates this setup, because the guy is wide awake now, staring like trouble just walked in. Then the brown-haired girl explodes with relief, shocked he actually came back, and she clings to him like the universe personally refunded her worst nightmare, which makes Minho realize this isn't just some random stranger, but family, as the black-haired woman spots him and finally blurts his name in disbelief, while the girl keeps sobbing gratitude, treating his wake-up like divine mercy, and Minho just stands there, processing this absurdly intimate disaster, because human relationships are apparently one of hell's premium subscription services, so he starts walking away, each step sounding like pure escape. The household finally circles Minho awake, and the tone is instantly loaded. The brown-haired girl rushes in with relief, treating his return like a miracle. Minho goes silent, catching that this panic is weirdly personal, while the stern man orders him back to school tomorrow, like nothing happened. The black-haired woman hesitates, pleading for patience as his condition still worries her, and the girl stays glued to him, trembling like she might lose him again. Then the whole room turns surreal when Minho's name lands with visible shock, because he starts realizing he apparently has a fan club, not just a family. The girl even admits she likes him, and that confession lands embarrassingly hard, leaving Minho flustered, suddenly aware he wants this mess a little too much. Bright skies frame the school, and Minho arrives like this is already suspicious, with the black-haired woman casually dumping him at class, acting way too familiar, while her shaky silence says this whole situation is personal, not routine, and Minho dryly remembers he finished school in the demon realm centuries ago, so human classes now feel like comedy, torture, and hell wearing a blazer, because even the room label confirms he's been shoved into 2 to 3 for exile, where the students already read the mood and decide survival means staying quiet, and Minho agrees, since one wrong move could trigger total soul annihilation. Meanwhile, Lavis mocks human weakness, bragging he bought time by crushing House Hilt. Also, he can return, seize his father's throne, and protect Vindica royalty. The room greets Minho like he never left, and that's already suspicious. But his stare says he's one bad joke away from homicide, while the gray-haired pest pushes late-fee banter, acting embarrassingly proud. Then Minho's body locks up, proving this whole reunion is cursed. The answer drags us backward to masked punks surrounding him in darkness, where one smug idiot basks in the violence like he bought the place, and another laughs it off, because apparently cruelty counts as hobbies. Then a hand crushes down on Minho, turning confidence into panic. His eye widens as the memory snaps into focus, ugly and clear, so that's why his whole body hurt. These punks did it. In the academy hallway, Lavis mocks Minho's humiliation, smug as ever. Then the petty extortion continues, with that gray-haired pest loving every second. Minho's face finally snaps with disbelief, realizing he is being bullied again, while the blue-haired horned woman announces humans as vulgator specimens to observe, and the classroom erupts into prejudice, because horns apparently make them classy, so she casually calls humans infinitely pathetic, like that's some groundbreaking insight. Then the scene turns ceremonial, demon and angel imagery towering over worshippers, before one black-haired punk suggests burning the idiots away. Very brave, but Lavis only feeds the hatred, rising in dark power and naming his target. Then he promises a brutal crush on human vulgarity, because subtlety died already. A mere human dares to touch him, and the room freezes, while a smug classmate barely reacts, glued to his phone. Then the hand pulls back, and the same idiot keeps staring, as demons call humans fools, proving arrogance is their whole curriculum, with the classroom packed like a verdict, every glance turning ugly, until one loudmouth panics and hurls slurs at Minho, but the red-eyed glare answers first, magic sparking in disbelief, because Minho's reaction makes the bully look painfully fragile, and the attack backfires into pure panic, just embarrassingly fast, while Lavis smirks, realizing human insults only feed his power. That tiny fist says it all. Profanity and magic are apparently linked, and the bully's confidence collapses when Lavis turns the whole ambush sideways, because one clean hit sends the loudmouth flying like he auditioned for humiliation, while the rest of the class just stares, realizing Minho is not their joke anymore. Then the hand suddenly remembers its real purpose, because exile doesn't mean harmless, and demon power starts answering malice inside a human body, which is frankly inconvenient. The gray-haired classmate blurts Minho's name in disbelief, finally catching up to reality, as another idiot raises a chair, screaming threats with all the grace of a panic attack, but the warning lands too late, and Minho's red-eyed stare cuts through the room, leaving everyone frozen, since this weak kid is now the one making predators sweat. The first blow sends that loudmouth flying, and his pride goes with him. Hess left wheezing on the floor, suddenly remembering humans can fold too. Minho stands over the wreck, while the smug crowd forgets how to smirk. Then the demon in him starts talking, calling human vulgarity a weakness, and before anyone can recover, he launches himself into the next victim. One kick lands so hard, the room practically hears the ego shatter. Across the chaos, a horned woman appears, radiating pure contempt for humanity. Minho keeps staring ahead, even as blood and panic spread around him. The classmates finally panic, realizing Minho just crushed Taewoo and Seongjun. Then he calmly redirects everything, mentioning his father like this mess is temporary. Lavis Vindica grins like exile is a joke, still dripping contempt, while the class stares, because nobody else wants to become his next problem. Then that demon arrogance spikes, and he dares the room to curse him, sending Minho's classmates into shock, as even his allies doubt the comeback. But Minho's face says everything, because suddenly everyone's asking who he really is, and the hallway carnage confirms it, with bullies scattered like cheap furniture, before the black-haired attendant checks on him, sounding far too concerned to be casual, while Minho brushes it off, pretending this nightmare is somehow manageable, except the gray-haired idiot just exposes the truth, crediting him for earlier help, and Lavis decides that grateful-looking prey makes the perfect attendant. Sunlit campus chatter breaks, as everyone praises the miracle survivor, and Minho gets cornered by a classmate acting way too casual, who starts tossing out reincarnation theories like this is dinner, entertainment, while Minho panics, realizing his fake normal life is already collapsing, because Lavis gets dragged into demon rules. Warned humans cannot be killed, yet he shrugs off the lecture, mocking how fragile humans already are. As the demon crowd boasts about governing death, towering over stunned onlookers, Lavis answers their cruelty with icy contempt, calling humans utterly foolish. Then the smug air escalates, declaring that foolishness is exactly why they exist, and his glare says the menace has only just begun. Beneath that blood-red sky, the demon law gets delivered, merciless and smug, while the black-haired heir coolly wonders how to silence humans instead. Then a gray-haired classmate casually floats reincarnation theories like cheap gossip, and the tired-looking student even jokes about waking somewhere else. Wow. Because he can smell Minho's misery leaking through every exhausted glance. Outside, Minho dismisses reincarnation nonsense, pretending his life still makes sense, but the gray-haired kid reminds him how much suffering he already swallowed. Then he praises Minho's earlier restraint, grinning like this was all obvious, as the apartment looms over everything, ready for another collapse. And Minho admits demon power woke up when humans cursed him, apparently. A strange power flickers awake in that dark, suffocating silence, and Minho's face says he already regrets whatever woke up, because even his own thoughts sound like a smug little joke, until Lavis Vindica grins, acting like the name alone owns everything. Then the pain hits Minho so hard his whole body folds, and the demon inside keeps crushing him while the room stays annoyingly calm, with every sound dying off, as if nobody dares interrupt the disaster. While Lavis insists this human body is pathetic and too weak, and Minho, already miserable for one day, realizes sleep is a luxury, because if it hurts this much, then demon power just declared war. Minho is out cold, while the room settles into a suspiciously quiet morning, and by the time the sky cycles over, campus life tries acting normal again, with classmates joking that peace finally returned after all that chaos around Minho, but he keeps laughing off the mess, claiming he still wants stronger fights. Because the name Jong Minho lands now like everyone already knows the disaster, and his blank stare says he is still processing this absurd social ambush, until the taller boy starts flexing about who messed with his little brother. Then the gray-haired pest boasts he protected Minho, as if that earns applause, which only makes the poor guy freeze harder, because yes, that was another insult, and the smug clown practically confesses it with a grin, like humiliation is teamwork. The whole crew hypes the disaster like Minho's finally becoming useful, while the sky outside keeps the mood absurdly calm, as if nothing happened. Then the veterans start roasting his beating, because apparently dignity died here, and Jeong Minho gets dragged into the spotlight like everyone owns his pain. His brotherly protector leans in, panicking over spoiled family optics, not mercy. So the gray-haired pest smugly claims credit, making humiliation look like teamwork. Minho barely reacts as the finger taps his forehead, that patronizing nonsense, and he answers with chilling calm, admitting his mother taught him plenty. That confidence only irritates the hothead, who keeps smirking like a clown, until Minho's next move leaves the smug grin hanging in the dust. Minho's body gets manhandled, and the demon inside grins at the insult, because his favorite comfort food is apparently sharp curses from home. How charming. Then he snaps the pressure aside, staring back with that smug, red-eyed confidence, while the alley thugs lose all dignity and start yelling like startled amateurs. He even mocks human poison tongues through his mother, which is so obnoxious it hurts, then crushes the loudest punk into a panicked, face-first collapse for emphasis. The next beat turns viciously clean, as he pivots with terrifying calm, because violence, in his book, only chains the flesh, not the soul. So when he declares their pitiful cries are calling to him, the bullies freeze, and their blonde leader finally screams in terror, realizing the joke's on him. Minho's face twists in pure shock, as the alley pressure finally cracks. The bullies panic first, proving loud mouths stay cowardly under real heat. He answers their mob tactics with icy arrogance, and that's already a mistake. His red eye flashes harder, making the whole scene look ridiculously one-sided. Then the punks get folded in sequence, because confidence without skill is comedy. One especially noisy idiot loses his nerve, screaming like he just met consequences. The battlefield widens into the street, while the evening light keeps mocking them. A hand hangs loose and lethal, turning one casual gesture into humiliation. Even the brown-haired girl can only stare, breathless at the carnage. And the last punk coughs blood, while Minho stands there, disgustingly calm. The demon uncle hypes violence like it's sacred family tradition, and Minho gets dragged into gratitude. While the room already smells like trouble, his red eye stays cold and smug, because restraint clearly isn't his hobby. The first punk collapses under that stare, proving bravado is cheap entertainment. Then the others get folded fast, one by one, like broken leftovers. Even their so-called task report sounds pathetic. Another embarrassment wearing a school blazer, and now Lavis sits there grinning, casually claiming Minho as his adorable nephew, while a blue-haired authority confirms the demon bloodstone is hiding in the eye, meaning this whole mess was never ordinary, just demon politics dressed as alley carnage, and Minho stands in the wreckage, annoyingly calm, while everyone else looks cooked. The hooded demon woman needles Lavis, testing how long his smugness lasts, while Minho's red eye stays icy. That same old calm nobody can bully now, and the schoolyard gossip spreads fast, because apparently humiliation travels faster than respect. As the Hiltia family's collapse becomes public, another elite mess for everyone to gawk at, Lavis keeps grinning through it all, because restraint clearly was never his hobby, and his reckless reputation earns groans. Since tossing him into human territory changed nothing, then the Horned Authority spells it out. Only force can subdue a vicious demon, and that decree lands hard, because Lavis still won't adapt to this world. Even his bratty swagger backfires, turning panic and mockery into his new home, while Minho quietly questions the Bloodstone, and the whole demonic conspiracy clicks. Preparations finish in the demon realm, and Lord Barca gets the signal. Lavis just grins at the summons, because subtlety was never his thing. The Horned Authority frames humans as weak, while Lavis still looks bored. Then everyone remembers he reached the human realm, and trouble followed. Minho's side turns savage here, crushing the smug punk's cheap confidence, while one hand casually blocks the purple curse. Like this is routine, and the battlefield spirals into pure darkness, dragging both sides into it, until the old demon woman smugly welcomes Lavis, her nephew, with evil delight. Minho and Lavis finally clash in the same storm, one calm, one cocky, and back home, the kitchen panic proves Minho's mess hit hard. At the table, the smug gray-haired classmate treats chaos like a comedy special, while Minho tastes hellfire and deadpans that it's hardly impressive, of course. Then the whole lunch scene turns into petty roasting, with beginner-level insults, until a buzzing phone quietly yanks the smugness straight off the table, revealing Jin Jae-hee, whose screen suddenly screams that he has a call, and Minho just stares, because apparently the joke leaves with him, as Jae-hee mumbles an urgent excuse and ducks out, backpack and all, leaving Minho alone with the food, which is hilariously still more reliable, while Jae-hee keeps clutching that purple bag like it's saving his life, and the room settles into a tense silence, because the mess is nowhere near done. The alley hangs cold and narrow, like trouble picked a perfect hiding spot, and the doorway ahead already feels like the kind that swallows dignity, while a gloved hand loads the needle, calm as if pain is paperwork, because inside, the tattoo session has turned into a smug little execution, with debt photos pinned nearby, mocking the victim for being late and broke, and the fresh mark across his forehead proves this woman does not miss, so when they announce they brought him, the room instantly knows who is next, because poor Jae-hee gets hauled in looking like a kid to detention, and the tattooed queen keeps roasting his delay while dragging Sion into it, leaving the overhead light glaring like a verdict nobody can dodge. The smug, gray-haired classmate gets pinned fast, and the room senses trouble, because the tattoo queen keeps pressing his weak spot like it's routine paperwork. Then the debt mark gets explained, and suddenly his face loses all color, as the name Minho hangs over him, dragging the whole promise mess back. His throat tightens, because that cursed mark was already a warning sign, and the tattooed woman casually mocks the delays, as if cruelty is customer service. Meanwhile, the tall guard makes the atmosphere worse, standing there like judgment itself. So when the others are hauled in, the room turns into one giant disaster. Jae-hee panics, trapped under that hand, while the needle threat gets uglier, and the whole scene ends with him begging no, which is just pathetic. The warning lands first, sharp and ugly, as the room goes dead silent, because this is the last chance, and Minho's name makes it personal. Then the bleeding captive gets shoved into the lesson, looking wrecked already, while the tattooed woman smugly orders the job finished, like mercy costs extra. Outside, the night sits cold and empty, pretending none of this is happening, and Minho sits at his desk, haunted by the mess closing in, because if he ignores this, the whole situation keeps spiraling anyway, so he clenches down on the keyboard, forcing himself to push through, while Jae-hee's name drops like a trap, and his confidence evaporates, leaving only a frozen room, a clock, and panic eating the silence. The night hangs over a silent apartment block, already signaling trouble. Inside, Minho writhes through spicy food regret, and his body absolutely hates him. Every nerve turns traitor, as the pain spreads like some cheap punishment. Even Lavis Vindika looks utterly wrecked, yet still refuses to look weak. So the demon captive doubles down, spitting pure pride through the suffering. He swears that Trash Body will be rehabbed, no matter the cost. Then the raw screaming proves how badly that confidence is getting bullied. Morning finally breaks, and the cursed atmosphere somehow reaches the school. The campus stands innocent and bright, which is honestly a hilarious lie. Jae-hee freezes in the hallway, because the next disaster just walked in. A manic fingertip taps the screen, and the whole mess starts here. Because Jae-hee finally checks this app and instantly loses his courage, the danger looks absurdly real, so his smug face turns into panic, while the tattooed fixer coolly orders preparations, like chaos is just housekeeping. Meanwhile, Minho stands there dead-eyed, still trying to crush his fist, and the poor idiot can barely breathe, suddenly regretting every decision. Then the taller escort drops Minho's name on him, triggering instant panic, but the black-haired classmate only leans in, acting annoyingly unbothered, which makes Jaehee's glasses useless, since fear is already winning, and now has wondering if Minho is the only lifeline left. Jaehee's smug confidence evaporates, because danger finally feels personal here, and that tattooed fixer treats panic like housekeeping, which is honestly rude. Behind them, Minho stays stone cold while the attached girl clings harder. Then his sharp stare catches a familiar scent, and annoyance turns curious, because that smell drags up a memory of the same trouble. Again, and Jaehee blurts out a familiar name, instantly regretting his timing, while the black-haired onlooker just watches the hallway disaster spiral wider. Then the gray-haired idiot crouches beside her, asking if she's hurt, but she can only gasp and tremble, bleeding embarrassment all over the floor, until the whole hallway erupts, proving this mess is far from over. Demonic energy surges, and Lavis freezes at the impossible fact, inside a human body. Back in school, the hallway turns feral, with Minho standing calm amid collapse. Jaehee's terrible timing backfires hard, as everyone scrambles around the wounded girl. Minho stares through the chaos, and the girl practically melts into panic beside him. Then that crest catches his eye, and the smugness drains from his face, because that mark belongs to the Hiltka family, on a human body. So now Hez locked in, deciding he has to confirm this nonsense himself. The scene cuts to a hospital at night, where trouble has already arrived. A hooded visitor stops at the room door, while a blue jacket student stiffens nearby. And just like that, the corridor says hold on, because this gets worse. In the hospital corridor, the hooded visitor shuts down entry, while the blue jacket student freezes. Realizing this guy means trouble, then that hooded menace reveals even faint demon power can be enough, and the poor girl's whole situation suddenly looks dangerously temporary. Minho's eye catches the crest, and his calm finally sharpens, because that mark screams Hiltka blood on a human body. So he stays seated, quietly deciding to verify this madness himself, as the hooded figure keeps analyzing the trace with surgical obsession, until the door opens wider, and the corridor tension spikes harder, and even the orange-haired watcher looks ready for disaster. In a sterile hospital room, the orange-haired patient stares down the hooded intruder, and the audacity is so bad it practically radiates demon energy. Honestly, she snaps back in outrage, because apparently invading bedsides is his whole personality. Then the hoodie man grabs her wrist, and the room's smugness dies instantly. She loses her cool, while he notices something priceless on her arm. Minho's eyes sharpen red, because that crest finally confirms the Hiltka bloodline, so he calmly twists the wrist, asking why a mere human wears that symbol. The girl explodes in protest, acting shocked that reality has betrayed her, but his warning lands colder than the room lights, demanding honesty before consequences hit. Then that glowing eye narrows, and the truth about her identity turns unavoidable. The orange-haired girl is already spiraling, because this bedside ambush feels criminal. Then the hooded creep spots the arm, and suddenly her panic gets real. That demon stain erupts behind him, making the whole room look hilariously doomed, while Minho calmly keeps her pinned, because subtlety clearly died in that hallway, and his red eye snaps open, realizing that crest is the Hiltka marker. The girl tries to deny everything, which is adorable when the evidence is glowing, but her weird explanation only confirms somebody forced that tattooed life on her, as he tightens his grip and catches the demon scent clinging to her, because that smell belongs to the demon realm, not some innocent hospital visit. And the name Lavis hangs there, turning this mess into a royal-level problem. Deep inside the stone tower, a forbidden root starts looking badly cursed. The guard in glasses tries to block it, calling it strictly off-limits. Minho stays dead calm as Lavis sneers beside him, all demon pride. Then comes that smug little insult, and wow, the air is rattled. Lavis bristles hard, realizing this human won't be embarrassed that easily. He insists he isn't scared, just allergic to punishment, which is pathetic. Minho keeps pressing forward anyway, dragging the whole disaster with him. Lavis finally asks how much farther this humiliating tour is going. They keep descending through the ruined hall, where everything feels ancient and ominous. And then the name lands again, Lavis, turning this into royal trouble. In this filthy dark chamber, Minho corners Lavis, and the demon already hates it, then starts rambling about cursed eyes and species, trying way too hard to sound profound. Minho doesn't buy the lecture, so Lavis pivots into his little doom theory, claiming blindness comes either from brutal light or total darkness. Classic dramatic nonsense. while the mysterious blonde-glassed authority just shushes everyone like this is a museum, but Lavis freezes, because Minho spots the hidden danger first, no applause for him, and that danger is some absurd purple flower dragging demon power through the walls, which makes Lavis suddenly panic and act shocked, as if he wasn't the expert here, so Minho leans in, inviting the threat closer, and Lavis hates how fearless that sounds, because one wrong step now, and that little flower turns this whole place lethal. So now the demon brat gets identified, and suddenly the flower panic starts, because Jeremy Hiltgas' body looks worse than a cheap warning sign. His face is buried under those ridiculous blossoms, practically dead already, yet the so-called gnawing flower gets the real attention, and Lavis immediately realizes that smell belongs to something poisonous, which makes the green-haired nerd freeze instead of acting smug for once, because that is the gnawing flower, the nightmare everyone keeps underestimating. Minho keeps calm anyway, like danger is just another inconvenience, while the orange-haired girl is reduced to tears and pathetic begging, and the hooded intruder just stands there in silence, making the whole room colder. Under the moonlit eaves, the hooded watcher spots trouble hanging above, and Lavis drops into view. Because apparently stalking demons is a hobby, he throws out a smug welcome, while the bat creature answers with menace, over the city rooftops. The whole hunt feels absurdly personal now. Inside Jin Jae-hee's tattoo shop, the hooded kid starts piecing clues together, then the truth lands hard. This is the Hiltga crest, and gnawing flower, so even Minho's enemies can't hide their panic behind cheap swagger, while the exit sign and bloodstains scream that someone is already cornered. In the corridor, gossiping adults expose young Moo's obsession with the app, and the blonde punk laughs too loud, proving stupidity really travels in packs. That blue ribbon gets noticed first, and the whole bluff starts cracking. While Minho casually warns him the new tattoo package comes with nasty side effects, the blonde idiot still acts untouchable, until the hallway suddenly feels hostile, because that hooded demon spots the Hiltga crest and the same cursed scent, and the smug leader finally faces the awkward truth. This isn't a joke anymore, as Minho asks if those tattoos came from Jin Jae-hee too. Dragging names into daylight, the hooded stranger closes in, treating Jae-hee like some disposable pawn. Then the cocky brat reaches out for respect, like manners were ever his talent, but Minho's eyes flare red, and the mood turns from tense to disastrous, because those hands twist into a counterstrike, and the overconfident fool is done. The hooded demon slams the blonde pest into the wall, and the hallway turns vicious, while the black-clad onlookers freeze as Minho's mess finally starts collecting interest. The smug brat yells for answers, acting tough as if that ever worked, but the hooded stranger answers with a blur, and the trash talk dies instantly, because Minho's strike caves through the gang's confidence, sending their bravado flying, and the black-suited leader crumples, screaming like courage was never his hobby, as the hooded attacker drags another bully down, turning the whole corridor ugly, while the gray-hooded menace keeps advancing, absolutely unimpressed by their desperation. Then Minho's fist crushes the blonde's face clean, delivering pure humiliation, and the last idiot swings a knife, only to get buried in retaliation. The hooded demon slips in, and the knife gambit already looks pathetic. His red eye locks on, cool enough to mock their confidence. One strike detonates the leader's face, and bravado splinters instantly. Minho stays low, while the corridor turns into pure humiliation. Lavis still demands Jae-hee, because panic makes bullies so loud, but the blonde idiot's threat just feeds the demon's murderous grin. Now Lavis promises death, and the room finally remembers fear. Even he notices that spike, sensing Minho's power mutating fast. So the next rush becomes a desperate collision, all swagger ruined. And that's the joke. His movements changed, so theirs stopped mattering. Lavis crushes the first punk flat, and the alley instantly smells like regret. Then the hooded attacker slides hard under him, proving bravado ages terribly, before the blonde coward lunges in, only to get swarmed for his trouble, because Lavis' grin turns feral, and even the mask starts looking flimsy, while Minho's red-eyed stare sharpens, making the demon's instinct twitch, and that tiny surge of power is enough to make everybody flinch, as the sky cuts to night, leaving the whole mess hanging in silence. Then the fixer's hideout appears, where the app is still embarrassingly unfinished, and the blonde enforcer hears another warning, as the couch victim gets exposed, because they finally caught the blue ribbon thief, and the smug act is dead. Minho's face collapses into panic, and the first coward starts begging, while the whole room watches him choke on desperation and false promises. Then the hideout trio looms over the couch victim, cool as vultures, as blue roses get grabbed, because even humiliation needs dramatic props, but the petals drip like dead respect, turning the flex embarrassingly brittle, and Minho, half-dressed and rattled, suddenly looks like bad news, so the first punk pleads again, convinced mercy still has value, until the panic spikes, the whimper turns to a full meltdown, then Lavis answers with brutal momentum, swatting one attacker aside, and the last punk gets folded instantly, proof the alley belongs to demons. Lavis takes the first blow, and even his body sounds offended by it. Minho freezes there, staring like his brain finally caught up, and that's bad news. The purple-haired punk begs for mercy, which is adorable right before the humiliation. Lavis answers with one brutal swipe, shredding confidence faster than flesh. The alley erupts in blood and screams, because dignity dies first. More slashes follow, turning those smug punks into expensive-looking regrets. By the end, Minho is the one left collapsed, staring up in shock. Back in the hideout, the vultures circle over the couch, victim, and the roses. The stern woman makes it clear there are no second chances, ever. Minho turns cold-eyed and quiet, which somehow scares everyone more. Minho's stare says this whole mess is already going wrong, isn't it? Jae-hee gets named, and that smug act instantly starts cracking. The worried witness freezes, because this call is turning nasty fast. Night hangs over the city, smugly ignoring the disaster below. Somebody panics that this pace will get them scorched too. Minho keeps pressing forward, calm in the most irritating way possible. Then the phone drops, thudding like a threat with perfect timing. The blonde pest just sits there, suddenly far less confident. Jae-hee watches in silence, sweating through every last excuse, and Minho's hand closes around the phone, ending the joke. Late-night panic starts, with Minho calling through the darkness, suspiciously calm, while Jae-hee is already wrecked, bleeding, and realizing this joke is dying, because the alley cleanup has gone sideways, leaving bodies scattered like disposable trash, and that smug little voice on the phone belongs to the same kid they underestimated, until Minho drops Jae-hee's name, instantly turning the room's confidence into vapor. Then he reminds them he already grabbed the phone once, so yes, he noticed, which sends Jae-hee spiraling, because now the idiot finally understands the connection, and Minho coolly says he came for verification, not whatever pathetic excuses they built, exposing that the phone trail led straight to Jae-hee, and the cover story collapsed before the call confirms Minho's real target is Jae-hee's tattoo shop, not him. Minho catches a strange call mid-breath and instantly senses trouble. In that concrete stairwell, a white-eyed demon cat waddles into view. Someone on the line panics about Minho getting involved with him. Minho answers flatly, still holding the phone like this is routine. Then he finally locks onto the creature, all cold curiosity and no fear. The hallway stays dead quiet as the little monster stands there, wobbling. Before long, it starts acting like a guilty pet caught stealing snacks. Minho hovers over it, demanding answers from the so-called furball. The creature hangs there helplessly, looking less feral and more tragically tamed. And just like that, the mystery turns into a very obedient little meow. The hallway turns icy as Minho coldly demands the creature understand him, and the little monster instantly yelps obedience, looking absurdly domesticated. That's when the talk shifts to old sightings, bat, then rat, then cat, while Minho stares it down, asking what it really is anyway. The answer is pure demon realm theater, a monitor sent undercover, assigned to watch prisoners, especially Lord Lavis, without getting spotted. But Minho's presence ruins the mystery, because his energy feels embarrassingly weak, and the cat admits it noticed him only because he stands out too much. Then it slips up again, praising him as Lord Lavis, which is hilarious, so the kid finally snaps to the point, demanding the creature show its master. That tiny demon cat suddenly freezes, one eye blazing with panic. Meanwhile, Lavis lounges like a villain, smug in that ridiculous palace office. Minho catches the bait, and Bam's name drops like a curse. Lavis mockingly dismisses the accusation, acting offended by basic accountability. Then Minho's suspicion hardens, because Bambay always means trouble somehow. Lavis plays innocent, all charm and arrogance, as if that helps. Minho changes tactics, asking what this prisoner even is doing here. The cat blurts out demonic power, then smugly acts like rules are suggestions. Lavis teases that the answer will come eventually, before inviting more questions. Then he drops the real name, the devouring flower, and the room gets colder. Bambi's bait lands, and Lavis smugly weaponizes that cursed flower name, then drills in how the demon realm already knows. Hilt's reach, hit humans. Minho hears Hilt and instantly narrows in, because yes, that family again, while Lavis grins through it. Acting innocent like accountability is optional. The sky-space explanation turns uglier, exposing a human world drowning in conspiracies, and Lavis decides this somehow works perfectly for him, which is disgusting. Minho snaps toward the cat, asking what kind of chaos it's really hiding. Bambi doubles down with that smug little hey routine, demanding more attention. Then comes the deadpan meow, and suddenly the room feels even more untrustworthy, until Minho falls silent, staring like the joke just became a real threat. Under that bruised night sky, somebody snaps in disbelief, and the panic starts brewing, and over the silent rooftops, where the city feels small and already guilty, because a certain demon keeps dodging calls like accountability is a joke, while Jae-hee loses it, realizing Lim Sion has vanished at the worst time, and Minho, of course, looks annoyed enough to sue the whole evening, as the phone lit up with a ridiculous death threat, proving drama is his hobby. Then the office side joins in, dragging Seongjun into another emergency mess, so Minho finally swings the hunt back toward that bastard Lim Sion, leaving only the empty sky hanging there, all quiet and suspicious, before he corners the White Cat Demon, demanding every dirty human world secret. The White Cat Demon keeps flaunting prisoner rounds, and its rare detection talent gets checked instantly, forcing that smug little creature back into its true form. Minho stares through the nonsense, and the demon dares him to handle it, so the room turns purple with menace while the cat panics, very suddenly. Then the blue-haired authority arrives, sparkling like trouble with perfect posture and zero mercy. She floats closer, reading him like a report, while Minho sits there unimpressed. He judges her weakness in silence, because apparently confidence is his favorite weapon. Still, she insists Bambi had reasons, then asks his name with deadly politeness. Her answer to his blank stare is brutal, claiming street trash counts as identity. And just like that, she brands him street, turning rescue into ownership. First comes that smug street label, like identity is a cheap joke. Then the blue-horned girl gushes over being named, absolutely thriving on it. Next, she orders the human world dumped out, while Minho soaks in the absurdity. Night settles over the city, and trouble starts brewing with embarrassing speed. Minho's expression tightens, because this whole mess is already sounding cursed. Soon an alarmed voice declares he's in danger, as panic goes full sprint. Meanwhile, a sudden victory hits somewhere else, with one guy acting shocked. The trophy says Lim Sion, which makes the celebration feel way too personal. His face says he can't believe it, but the award says otherwise. Then the van crew closes in, demanding the winning developer like this is a sting. 50 million? Jae-hee scoffs at the prize like it's pocket change. Then the tattooed fixer crowns Minho a valuable asset and orders the car. Inside the van, his wide-eyed shock says this deal is already rotten. A bouquet shatters somewhere in the dark, and somebody absolutely loses it. Meanwhile, the blonde escort frames Minho as cargo, not a person. The purple-haired fixer shrugs off fear, calling it business with smug cruelty. Jae-hee hears 50 million in cash and instantly starts sweating through his pride. The app gets demanded like stolen property, but Minho refuses to sell out. The purple-haired man sits there, silent as a snob, until the room dulls. Then the last voice cuts in coldly, reminding everyone that arrogance was their mistake. Jae-hee's panic is so obvious. Even the van feels cursed with bad business. Minho's already sweating, and the purple-haired fixer enjoys every second. Then the chase kicks in, because nobody wants him near Jin Jae-hee. He nearly apologizes to the muscle, but the room keeps getting nastier. One name drop later, his face says this nightmare just got personal. Even his glasses can't hide that he's staring at a loaded disaster now. Outside, the smug enforcer boasts they found him without even hunting. Minho tries to backpedal, but the bigger man blocks every escape route. Lim Sion gets exposed, and suddenly the whole operation has a face. Then the threat lands hard, because arrogance always meets its bill. The Midnight District shakes with one miserable scream, and nobody's feeling brave, because Minho's new handlers are already declaring his app empire their property, leaving him staring back in pure panic, like courage took the night off. While the outsiders brag they can watch every move through the window, and the muscle beside them shuts down every escape with insulting ease, until Minho realizes this disaster has a name, and it's all over. Then the onlookers start mocking him as some pathetic developer cosplay, as the app title finally surfaces. And yes, it sounds ridiculous, before they demand the distribution channel and slap the desk for emphasis, so Minho just grimaces, because even he knows that name is trash. The app logo fills the screen, because apparently this circus has branding, and the name lands twice, like it wants everyone to suffer properly. Meanwhile, the smug fixer strolls into a hostile room, checking whether the traps are ready. Then he casually exposes Lim Sion as the genius behind Blue Ribbon, and the real business plan becomes buying buyers, abusing data, and rigging markets, while Im here gets crowned as the weapon for expansion. How delightfully toxic. The glasses guy practically sparkles with greed, asking if they can sell Blue Ribbon for real, except the boss stare says he already owns the punchline, and the room knows it. Then the Blue Ribbon charm appears, confirming the target like a cheap magic trick. and that smug smile says the world's about to get dragged into it. The whole school starts circling Choi Yuri, because this sign-up scam looks too profitable. The app flashes its cute little logo, promising cashback like bait for greedy hands. Students instantly lose dignity, begging to join and dragging Park Hyman into the frenzy. Even the snarky classmate gets shoved forward, while the room orders obedience first. Questions later. Then Blue Ribbon gets unveiled, all pretty branding and slick nonsense, apparently irresistible. A diet product giveaway follows, and everyone embarrassingly melts over the name alone. But somewhere else, user numbers explode overnight, which means the scheme is already working. The Fixer crew lounges like they built the empire, praising Boss Youngma's nasty little success. Back in the hideout, they still can't catch the bastard who trashed the shop, shocking nobody. And the lead clue turns out to be a bat, because apparently trouble now wears wings. Inside security, a creepy rat monster locks onto the camera like a total menace, while the tech duo debates the other feeds, and the room instantly gets ugly. Their genius conclusion is that it's just a rat, which aged terribly fast, because Minho storms in demanding logic, and Jae-hee somehow looks even smaller. Then the smug classmate checks his phone, acting useful for once. Wow, until Minho snaps his name out, and the whole room stiffens hard, so he moves on, hearing Blue Ribbon stock has finally arrived, and the story slides into a sunset city, where the hype keeps spreading, while a school blazer kid stares blankly, already swallowed by the sign-up frenzy, and that tiny white cat demon pops up again, acting suspiciously innocent. In the wrecked hideout, Lavis boasts about weight gain and yesterday's investigation, while Minho's stare turns her victory lap into a suspicious little flex, with the bruised blonde punk already flatlined by embarrassment, not glory. Then Minho studies the blue candy and catches the gnawing flower scent, proving somebody ate the stuff to wake up, because of course it needed a host, and his cold logic lands so hard the room forgets to mock him, as Lavis finally admits Blue Ribbon is spreading through humans everywhere. So Minho immediately asks about raw materials, skipping the decorative nonsense, but she confesses the supply source is too secret to track down, and that useless answer earns her the kind of glare money cannot fix. The Blue Ribbon trail is exploding everywhere, and the demon girl spots the source, but Minho snaps that excuses are useless, because someone should have tracked it already. Then he needles her about Banbi, forcing the poor thing to explain herself, and she folds instantly, whining that she only follows orders from both sides. So Minho corners her with a brutal ultimatum, demanding her real master, which only makes her offer blood and flesh like some overdramatic devotion ritual, and the blue-haired horned girl goes full fangirl, ready to serve him personally, because apparently humiliation was the gateway drug to loyalty in this world. Then Lavis Vindica seals it by claiming him as her chosen subordinate, and the room learns that the smug little demon just got claimed back. The tiny blue-haired horned captive just got dragged into the demon trail drama, and Minho casually tells Banbi to crawl off, like that isn't rude genius. They head toward the Blue Ribbon gathering, where the sky already feels cursed. Then the cargo yard truth drops. This is where demon energy is stacked. Lavis Vindica spots the lock and instantly turns from panicked to determined. While the chain-wrapped gate tests her, she still looks ridiculously unstoppable. Minho cuts through the hesitation with one cold command. No theatrics needed. And the lock explodes open, making the whole impossible part look stupid. At the threshold, he steps through the wreckage like he owns the place. Then Lavis freezes beside him, because Minho's glare just hit something unknown. Inside the cursed cargo yard, Minho and Lavis stare down the demon taint, and the sealed gate starts vomiting purple authority like a bad omen. Lavis panics at first, then realizes this mess is the Blue Ribbon trail, because even stacked containers and rotten energy cannot hide her target. Minho turns one icy glare on the problem, and the whole yard stiffens. Then the lock detonates into dust, making impossible look embarrassing, while Lavis finally snaps, hailing him like some unlovable demon prince. And Minho answers by pounding her confidence into the dirt, but she still comes back snarling, refusing to be cute or harmless, so he launches another brutal strike, and the fight gets beautifully ugly. Lavis gets flattened instantly, and that smug demon confidence, frankly, collapses. Minho's glare stays colder than the rubble, which is somehow even ruder. The blast hurls bodies across the canyon, turning the whole escape into a circus. Then Lavis crashes down, screaming his name like he's some nightmare uncle, and she laughs off the pain, standing tall on the cliff like a menace. Minho answers with another merciless hit, because subtlety clearly died hours ago. Even after that, Lavis keeps getting up, battered but still irritatingly proud, so he drags the truth out of her. She's Lavis, from Blue Ribbon, and the two of them lock eyes while the demon girl starts rethinking everything. Below them, the gnawing flowers reveal a graveyard of hidden monsters. Lava's stunned face says the demon girl finally felt the truth land, and that eye close-up shows panic cracking through all that cocky bravado, because the old legend starts, when darkness and light were split apart, then the next page escalates hard. Incompatible beings forging pure opposition, and suddenly we're back in some prehistoric nightmare, with humans gawking upward, at the cursed origin where those first flowers bloomed among the gathered, while the skull of a devoured celestial proves this world ate gods, and that pathetic little flower is apparently the annihilation of everything, before two horned onlookers watch the purple catastrophe swallow the sky, while Minho stands there with Lavis, acting like this apocalypse is normal. Minho coolly calls out the old purge, while Lavis still fumes beside him. Then the massive stockpile appears, because apparently this disaster came boxed and delivered, and the flower's curse gets worse. Since it first surfaced in the human realm, turning humanity into some filthy middle ground where light and darkness overlap, which makes that ancient "we erased them" story sound embarrassingly incomplete, because if both worlds birthed them together, somebody clearly staged this whole mess, and Lavis finally freezes, realizing the cosmic explanation just slapped her back, when a flashlight cuts in from the shadows, exposing the lurking witnesses, leaving Minho and Lavis boxed in among the containers, hearing the crowd close, while the voice nails the punchline, wondering where they crawled out from. Deep in the container yard, Lavis spots the bastard who ruined the tattoo shop, and Minho coolly confirms Jin Jae-hee is the woman causing this circus. The black-haired fixer bristles, demanding who trashed her place and found it, while Minho prees about the goods, and Jae-hee snarks from above. He keeps digging into the raw materials, clearly sniffing out their trade secrets, which makes Lavis freeze. Because yes, he actually understands the nasty supply chain. He shrugs off the ethics, admitting it is not exactly his business, really, but he still pushes harder, refusing to leave the whole scheme untouched. Then the enforcers start hauling in the crew, warning Jae-hee about Youngmoo, and the room gets a special distribution, because nobody here is walking away clean. Even the freebies look cursed. And these idiots panic over flower scraps, until the fixer snarls back, acting shocked someone dared inspect her stash, while the crew gets dragged in, and Lavis watches the humiliation land, because Minho keeps poking the trade secrets, making her finally listen. Then the whole room twists as demon-eyed thugs bare their true faces, and the loudmouth orders the attack, convinced numbers still mean something, but the floor answers first, exploding into chaos and shredded ego, as Minho stands his ground, while the runners charge straight at him. His eye flares red, confirming this place is drowning in demonic energy, and he blocks the rush anyway, inviting the arrogant fools closer. Minho's red eye snaps awake, and the ambush immediately looks pathetic. One masked punk eats a brutal counter, collapsing that smug little gang fantasy. Another reaches in too recklessly, only to get grabbed and neutralized. The moment Minho's gaze flashes red, the room admits demonic pressure. That blonde loudmouth finally loses his swagger, staring at the tattooed grip. Then Minho ducks and drives upward, sending the knife cleanly off course. The next thug freezes mid-reaction, because surviving this suddenly feels impossible. Minho keeps pressing through the cluster, turning their teamwork into a disaster. The leader screams like a clown unmasked, which is honestly overdue, and the whole trio gets launched apart, proving numbers never meant talent. Minho's calm turns razor sharp, and the first attacker loses the opening gamble, while the blue-haired threat gets seized, proving bravado dies fast in his grip. Then the little demon girl blurts out panic over Lord Ravis. Like that helps, because the room already feels Minho's red-eyed pressure swallowing every smug thought. The trio of idiots keeps lunging, only to get flattened by one ugly lesson, and their teamwork explodes into a mess. With Minho slicing through the chaos, even he clocks their surprising durability, which is hilarious considering their earlier swagger, so he shifts again, reading the angle and tossing the next blow-off line, before the floor takes another winner, and the impact leaves the hideout in shambles. With one hand still pinning purple fabric, the last shred of pride gets crushed. Minho's red-eyed pressure crushes the room, and somebody regrets touching him. The container ambush goes loud, with purple haze swallowing the doorway. Three masked idiots fold instantly, coughing like courage was never real. Their precious toughness cracks fast, which is honestly embarrassing at this point. Minho powers up harder, because the stink of evil only feeds him. One attacker staggers, gagging, while the others forget how confidence works. Minho slams through the guard, turning a face-first block into disaster. Another body flips over, and the floor collects the arrogance. The last punk eats a brutal counter, splashing blood and pride together. By the end, the whole crew is wrecked, and Minho barely looks bothered. Minho's composure turns the ambush into a one-sided humiliation, and the first punk folds, coughing up his swagger instantly. while the gray-haired loudmouth gets launched like cheap trash, because that glowing eye means Minho is done entertaining clowns. The next idiot rushes in, only to get his face crushed, and even his desperate scream sounds pathetic under that pressure. Then another attacker grabs for survival, but meets a brutal counter, as Minho twists the whole gang into a pile of regret. The blonde punk's expression shatters, realizing toughness was never part of him, and by the end, 3 bodies are wrecked, while Minho barely breathes. That curly-haired fixer is losing her cool, because Minho is unreal, and the lightning-eyed glare drops the first punk like cheap trash. Then the room turns feral, as another attacker gets erased mid-panic, while Violet Tracelight swallows the bodies, leaving their swagger in pieces. Even the loudmouth can only stammer now, suddenly allergic to confidence, because that demonic pressure keeps staring through him, mockingly, mercilessly, and with the alley wrecked, the scene slams into the SC concours, where a lone performer stands under the spotlight, pretending this is normal. Her stage presence is all polished elegance, until the name finally lands. Yes, Yuri, the girl tied to Kang Hyunju's daughter. In a plush lounge, the stage is already selling dreams to the seated VIP. Then the door opens, and the smug escort finally delivers the interruption. The guest protests the intrusion, acting shocked that staff would be this reckless. So the reply lands coldly. It's only a blue ribbon bulk order. Nothing fancy. That answer rattles her, because this delivery suddenly sounds dangerously specific, and the jar of blue ribbons sits there like proof nobody is joking anymore. Next, the purple-haired man toys with her nerves, pretending concern while pushing harder. She starts doubting the whole setup, asking whether this is actually safe. He grins like a snake, enjoying her panic as if it's overdue entertainment. Then the stage reveal turns brutal, exposing the daughter at center spotlight. The room is already bracing for trouble, and that innocent-looking girl is suddenly moving like a needle dropped on hardwood, impossibly sharp and fast. The host's cool act cracks next, because Yuri's name is finally out there, and the so-called graceful dancer is exposed as way more fragile than she sold herself. The smug, purple-haired man keeps posturing, acting concerned while quietly loving the chaos. Then he slips into that fake polite routine, the kind that says he's definitely not panicking. But Yuris, the one spiraling now, flailing as if too much was forced into her, and the blue-blazered woman loses it completely. Screaming her name like that helps. The ballerina body folds mid-air, all elegance gone, just raw collapse and humiliation. And when she slams down, the whole stage learns how ugly overfeeding really looks. The audience freezes as something ugly erupts on stage, and panic spreads fast, because Yuri collapses under the spotlight, suddenly looking far less graceful than advertised. While the smug purple-haired creep keeps pretending this chaos is under control, then his fake concern curdles into outrage, proving he was enjoying it all along, and the purple-haired brat smugly explains the disaster is just dosage, not kindness, which leaves Yuri sprawled helplessly, her body reduced to a horrifying cautionary tale, as the blue-clad woman taunts him, twisting his panic into humiliating, fake romance. Then she warns blue ribbon ownership means Yuri now belongs to him socially, so he finally cracks, clawing at his head and screaming about his investment, but that smug little smirk at the end says this mess is nowhere near over. In his spotless little lounge, the smug creep starts sensing trouble. Then Jin Jae-hee pops up on the screen, and his confidence goes stiff. That lazy-eyed show-off studies the photo like it offended his whole ego, because the girl in it is clearly not a random face anymore. Yuri's terror is on full display, curled into a pathetic little apology, while the blue-haired devil leans in, making this look dangerously personal, and Jae-hee finally asks if she's the blue ribbon kid, only for the cold-eyed answer to confirm it, then demand a closer look. His hand already tightening around the phone like that changes anything, and now the customer mutters urgency, because this mess just got expensive. Night settles over the shipping yard, and the real trouble starts crawling out. Lavis coolly explains humanity's weakness, while bodies around her sell the insult perfectly. Then she peels back the ugly truth about addicts, belief, and pathetic desperation. As Jae-hee spots Ravis, and Yuri immediately loses what little courage she had, the girl's panic spikes, because this isn't a rumor anymore. It is her nightmare made visible. Lavis casually asks if the tattoo shop was involved too. Like this disaster is a hobby. Then the purple-haired show-off steps in, acting untouchable until someone finally looks unimpressed, and the black-haired authority dismisses him as trash, demanding to know where he found it. Jae-hee insists it should be nearly impossible for humans to obtain, which is adorable, but the purple-haired fool freezes, because mere human just became the worst possible answer. His eyes lock up fast, because that bastard might actually be the father, and the room suddenly feels like a landfill of pills, panic, and bad choices. Meanwhile, the junkie keeps begging for meds, proving desperation always sounds pathetic. Then the older man stomps him down, and that family drama gets uglier. The purple-haired brat finally sees the truth, and Yuri starts breaking apart. Even then, he still postures, asking if the man is dead already. But the answer lands cruelly. Just another addict who died like a joke. So he panics. Realizing a dead supplier means no fix, no mercy. The purple-haired fool explodes in outrage, demanding his next dose now. And there it is, pure humiliation, because no one owes him anything. The room turns feral as purple demonic pressure pins the junkie, and Jin Jae-hee's smug mask cracks. Because this disaster got personal, when the father's body hits the floor, the brat stares in disbelief. While that smoky demon asks if grief should really sound this pathetic, then Jin Jae-hee blurts out shock, realizing the old man was alive, and the answer comes cruelly. Just another corpse nobody should mourn, so his confidence detonates, screaming that he only needs the drugs. But the demon mocks that tantrum, because addicts always think they're owed mercy. Then a covenant is dangled like bait, tied to the grotesque flower, and the last thing he learns is simple. Desperation gets owned here. The demon's bargain hangs in the air, loyalty or that cursed flower, and Lavis decides the answer with a grin, ordering slaughter, as the covenant blooms ugly in her grip, all threat and ownership, while Jin Jae-hee laughs too late, then panics at the horror, because the flower lashes out, and the corpse becomes living evidence, leaving him stammering for mercy, like trash suddenly asking for rights. But the suited buyer stays icy, sizing up the human beside him, and that human answers with quiet conviction, saying Minho saved him. Then the observer finally realizes the obvious. The man contracted a demon, so the smug speech turns into a funeral verdict, pity for everyone involved. Jin Jae-hee finally snaps, demanding respect, still clueless as ever, while the suited boss orders his trash dragged in, effortlessly. Then Lavis storms in, and suddenly the whole night gets uglier, because the smug suit calls it boring, like murder needs seasoning. Above them, the demonic pressure blooms, turning bravado into panic, and the poisoned cargo rolls in, proving the deal is real. Even the dying supplier looks like premium evidence, not a person, so Blue Ribbon's next move feels absurdly profitable. Naturally. Now the street hears VIP demand spreading nationwide, fast, and this clown operation is basically becoming a global enterprise. Brother Youngmu's route empire already spans China and Japan, nice and illegal. Jin Jae-hee freezes up, realizing this app nightmare actually works. Drugs are spreading absurdly fast, thanks to his own genius disaster, and now his begging for mercy, which is adorable after all that swagger. The body drops hard, proving the cargo was never metaphorical, just humiliating. On the battlefield, everyone's scattered, while Jin Jae-hee finally looks ruined. Then the suit asks when the next move is coming. All business. The silence answers him, because nobody here can outgrow Lava's pressure. Her demonic smoke chokes the night, ordering murder like it's customer service. So the pills spill out, and the whole deal turns uglier. Lavis bows to Lord Bower Hilt, her smoke finally pretending obedience, while the panic spreads, because that ordinary schooler rumor just got hilarious. Jin Jae-hee hears about the new drug, and instantly starts cracking, as the suited buyer and his shadows keep staring, all cold profit and no soul. Then the name behind the chaos lands. Minho's trail isn't some joke, it's bait, and the pressure snaps as Lavis cuts in beside the stunned target, her authority slamming the room, while the smug kid suddenly looks breakable, because every attack gets stuffed. And he finally admits this monster is different. Even his panic turns religious, begging how she can block him this easily, and the answer is pure arrogance, since to him, Minho is God. Now the buyer finally tastes the gnawing flower, and Minho's trail stinks, so this polished bastard realizes Bower Hilt was never a joke after all. Then Jin Jae-hee's smug face cracks wide open, because the name hits hard, and suddenly the pathetic loser act backfires, with his insult sounding suicidal, when he starts whining about Minho's mercy, like that somehow helps his case. The buyer just smirks, explaining how pity only comes from looking weak, which sends Jin into a screaming meltdown, because arrogance is a terrible shield. Then the room gets shredded, as demonic force swarms him from every angle, and even the buyer has to admit Bower Hilt is moving absurdly high now, while Lavis turns the whole place into a massacre, as if mercy died here. Back then, Lavis tore into the corridor, and the demon aura felt hungry. Yuri became the unlucky centerpiece, while the fleeing fool tried to look tragic. Jin Jae-hee's smugness cracked fast, because Lavis was smiling like a nightmare. The customer casually noted how cowards get treated like kings here. Jin started spiraling, shrieking about Bower like panic could save his ego. Then Lavis answered with crushing force, and his bravado got folded instantly. Jin gagged on the stench of power. While the customer kept smirking, Lavis buried the insult game, making threats sound like a death sentence. She slammed him into submission, and the room turned into a slaughter draft. By the end, Jin was choking under her grip, completely done. The ambush starts clean, and Lavis turns the corridor into a humiliation tax, sending Jin crashing under her heel, because cocky boys always fold first, while his face goes pale under that demonic pressure, realizing he's the prey, and the customer just watches, smug as ever, letting the nightmare do business. As Jin finally blurts out the blue ribbon name, scandal cracking his bravado, then Lavis surges again, roaring that everything here belongs to her trail, forcing him into a panic fit, with his reason already eaten alive, while his twisted power keeps shredding him. And the room smells like defeat, as Yuri peeks out, terrified, because even hiding won't save her now, and Lavis makes the final squeeze obvious, proving the human body has limits. Lavis is trapped in human skin, yet already dreaming of demon realm freedom, while her pressure crushes the test subject and makes the so-called expert sweat, because even he can see the kid might actually die from this, and that smug customer just stands there, treating horror like routine paperwork. Then the conversation turns to what Lavis hates most, and yes, it is dirt, which is hilarious, considering the room itself already reeks of failure and panic, so Lavis brands everything filthy, like she owns the whole miserable scene, and that smug grin only sharpens the insult, because she hates anything unclean, before her grip and aura tighten so hard the human body starts begging, leaving Jin reduced to a bloodied wreck, choking on one word, dirty. Jin finally realizes the room's monster has no patience left, and that's bad. Yuri's bloodshot glare erupts in disgust, because the filthy smell broke him. Lavis clamps down with vicious force, turning that smug outrage into pain. Jin gets launched backward, his bravado collapsing in one beautifully deserved mess. He stumbles into the dark, suddenly remembering fear exists for a reason. Then that demon-branded hand rises again, smugly claiming the same old power. Yuri stares back, bloodied yet steadier, like the wound actually sharpened him. The customer goes silent, because even cocky businessmen hate unpredictable carnage. Jin groans on the floor, and honestly, his dignity left first. Lavis refuses the corpse outright, leaving the poison deal smelling even worse. The forest shakes as Lavis' pink strike turns bravado into panic, and Jin gets hurled through the air, coughing up his confidence, because nothing says him tough like screaming over one clean hit. While his eyes finally widen at power he mocked seconds ago, then Lavis steps in closer, smug as ever, refusing his outrage, and Jin's body keeps skipping across the ground like discarded trash, with the whole scene leaving Yuri's bloodied, calm, looking almost regal. Meanwhile, Jin is busy discovering fear, embarrassment, and very bad choices, as Lavis hammers the warning home, silencing that filthy mouth, and the deal collapses under the weight of one demon's contempt. Oh ho! Lavis sniffs the shift, already amused by the disrespect. Then the purple-coated demon pieces together who the smug guy mentioned, because that bloody schoolboy was apparently close enough to foul everything, and now even the rumors admit Lavis can trigger awakenings, which makes the horned woman pause, wondering if human bodies can even keep up, especially when demonic bloodstone should have made that impossible, by all logic, but Lavis only smirks, because ordinary rules never applied to him, and the whole throne room vibe screams that nobody gets to define him, so the blue-haired monster takes center stage in that brutal reflection, while Jin is left coughing up regret, crushed by the punchline. The smug bastard still dares to call him a fool, lucky not dead, while Jin's face says that warning landed right on broken pride, because now even his precious blessing cannot explain this nightmare, and that confidence starts leaking out of him in plain sight, as he stammers at the impossible, finally tasting real fear, while the customer calmly squeezes his wrist and kills any genius, then promises mercy with that fake politeness villains always adore. But Jin snaps under the pressure and gets manhandled anyway, as Lavis closes in, showing why demon blood never asks permission, and Jin's eye goes wide, realizing his whole act just died. The floor turns brutal fast, and Jin learns control can bleed, because Lavis locks his wrist like she owns the whole disaster, then peels his fingers back with disgustingly easy precision, while that cursed figure nearby keeps grinning through the blood, and Jin's face finally caves in, all swagger turned to panic, as the suited customer stays cool, casually outclassing his tantrum, while Lavis calmly explains the stench is finally fading a bit, and Jin realizes this isn't a bluff. This is exposure, because the terrified student on the monitor is witnessing the collapse, and the whole school suddenly feels like a cage with homework. Just surviving here means posing nicely, and praying nobody notices, so the bullies squeeze harder, selling fake closeness like it's mercy, while their whole little cruelty act pretends it isn't hatred, and the victim's protest collapses into panic. Because this setup stinks, then the real game shows up, hands on the controls, very smug, while the screen glitches like the school itself is getting exposed, and even the gray-haired witness realizes this joke has gone bad, so he starts yelling for speed, which is adorable under pressure, before he bolts, dragging the chair like the whole system is chasing him. The gray-haired witness is already trapped, and the door keeps winning. Outside, the goons lose composure fast, because subtlety died ages ago. Inside, he panics over the app, realizing the whole trap is live. Then he begs for speed, which is hilarious when panic owns the room. Glass explodes as the enforcers get sent flying. So much for control. The victim gets folded next, while the hallway turns into a disaster zone. Now the blonde thug freaks out at the sudden counterattack. Shockingly late. The screen keeps deleting anyway, because the bastard already took it down. And suddenly they're both screaming for help, like timing ever respected them. The gray-haired kid just clings on, praying the app deletes first. Then his hand slips anyway, and the whole plan starts to wobble, because the victim finally claws back, dragging the fight into open chaos, while the hallway behind him turns into a smashed-up disaster zone, and now the blonde idiot grabs a fire extinguisher like that helps, only to realize too late this kid is pure panic and rage, as he shouts for the extinguisher and swings straight at their faces, sending the suited men spiraling back, suddenly terrified of the smoke, while the deletion bar keeps crawling, mocking every one of them. The smoke bar keeps crawling forward, smugly ignoring everyone's panic. The gray-haired kid finally blurts out that he did it, and the suited bully instantly snaps, hurling pure hatred through the haze. That extinguisher keeps wrecking the room, proving panic can hit harder, while the gray top-knot enforcer snarls for restraints, like that'll save him. Even his backup men are coughing and staggering now, which is hilarious. The kid gets buried under the pressure, still clawing for one more second, because this mess has already become his last stand, and he knows it. Then the top-knot man leans in, furious, treating him like trash. The smoke parts, and that top-knot tyrant finally spits pure outrage. He whirls first, expecting fear, but the glasses kid only blinks. Then the extinguisher keeps carving through the haze, ruining everyone's dignity. So of course the enforcer starts barking for restraints like a clown. The blonde instantly recognizes Seongjun, and the room gets even uglier. One dead-eyed grab later, the bodies fold while the poison deal festers. Now even the loudmouth is choking on panic. Realizing this is Seongjun, the kid still claws forward, soaked in smoke, refusing to vanish yet, and the final hit lands hard, sending him crashing under that authority. The extinguisher blasts through smoke, and the enforcer's swagger gets flattened. Seongjun coldly condemns anyone touching his only servant. What a joke. Gray-haired Minho finally spots Lavis, and the whole mood tilts. The app pitch lands on the table, disguised as harmless social glue. Then the board's real purpose surfaces. Letting nearby students track each other, Seongjun stares blankly. Hearing that neat little feature become a threat, the red alert gets exposed next, tied to the earlier kidnapping mess, and Minho apologizes for failing to find Yuri when she vanished. Seongjun's reply is ice cold, admitting he quietly added the tracking feature. Seongjun confronts the sender, holding the room like a menace in uniform, while Minho catches on fast, that shaky signal finally matching the culprit, and the app's cute little location feature gets paraded out like harmless charity, until the hidden red alert exposes the kidnapping trick, turning convenience into surveillance. Then the system's so-called safety button turns sinister, because yes, they built a leash. As the gray-haired kid blurts loyalty to friends, desperate to sound noble, Seongjun answers with that cold little smirk, the kind that ruins confidence for sport, while the whole courtyard softens into a download pitch, as if betrayal needs installation. Then Minho finally breaks, recognizing Lavis, and begging for her help, as the smoke closes in. Lavis finally softens, thanking Minho as the smoke swallows everything around them, while the bloodied girl at center gets the gratitude he never got himself. The smug, gray-haired troublemaker suddenly learns strength has a very rude personality, because the horned, blue-haired girl is still pinning the chaos in place, effortlessly, and the buyer's side keeps staring like the deal is already owned. How adorable, as Lavis rejects their leash outright, leaving the room too stunned to breathe. Then Seongjun coolly explains the carnivorous flowers are gone, like this was paperwork, which triggers the whole area into fire, smoke, and absolute disaster at once, and now the responders rush in, swearing they'll suppress the blaze immediately. The forest erupts into emergency, and the rescue crew keeps shouting through the flames, while bodies and ropes scatter everywhere, making the whole mess look wonderfully doomed. The stunned onlookers realize those people are not ordinary visitors, obviously, because the bloodied supplier slumps under the tree, proof the deal already rotted. Then the blue-haired horned girl strolls on like chaos is her favorite hobby, leaving the gray-haired kid staring blankly, finally understanding he is outclassed, and the black-suited authority figure watches from behind, smug as a funeral, because somehow Uncle Vanber is still using him, and he hates that fact. So now he grits his teeth, promising this disaster will not slide. The hospital question hangs over this quiet rooftop stretch tonight, but inside, annoyance is the only thing anybody admits, because Minho's unwanted rescue lands right on schedule, somehow, and Seongjun barely reacts, like chaos is just paperwork, while Lavis keeps crowding him, turning coincidence into a joke. Then she pins the blame on Lim Seon, cocky as ever, as the route to the hideout becomes a very real warning, and the gray-haired kid finally realizes this mess has teeth, because Seongjun's slave talk makes the whole room go cold, leaving Jin Jae-hee stammering, horrified, and completely outclassed. A tiny red alert blinks, and the whole scheme starts screaming, because Lavis refuses to call this timing coincidence, obviously, while Seongjun stays annoyingly calm like disaster is paperwork, and the gray-haired student gets drafted into Lavis' brutal little spotlight. Then Street learns he is merely a subordinate, not a hero, which sends him spiraling as Minho's name starts sounding dangerous, while he awkwardly brings up Minho, and Seongjun just watches, because the truth is getting uglier than his excuses, and Street finally admits Minho's circle feels like a bad organization, while Seongjun quietly confirms his servant will draw trouble forever. Lavis Vindica drops the name, and the room swallows its pride whole, while Street stares blankly, realizing this joke of a setup has teeth. Then Seongjun treats the whole nightmare like paperwork, cool as ever, as the gray-haired kid gets drafted into Lavis' spotlight, with zero mercy, and Street finally learns he is no hero, just someone's subordinate. That tiny realization snaps him, because Minho suddenly sounds dangerously real, so he fumbles out Minho's name, hoping it buys him dignity, but doesn't, while Seongjun just watches that pathetic excuse rot in real time. And when Street calls Minho's circle a shady organization, the panic blooms, because Seongjun basically confirms that servant will keep dragging trouble forever. The hallway tension hangs heavy, and the first crack is pure panic, because the purple-haired clown admits they burned everything and split up, tragically efficient, while the battered kid mutters he could killed someone. Nice coping strategy there, until the police arrive and the clueless officer asks who they even are. Then the hooded demon-blooded girl shuts him down, claiming restricted ground and silence, as the stunned man can only blink while her hand lands like ownership, and the next beat is him collapsing beside the police van, utterly folded, because Lavis finally leans in, pitying the boy like a fallen stray, so the purple-haired idiot screams for Lord Banby and revenge, ridiculously late, while Lavis calmly invites the monster to talk, sealing his humiliation. Under a bruised night sky, responders swarm the school, chasing a disaster already rippling outward, and the first detective gets the ugly update. Every dealer's been subdued, so naturally, she wants names, because the approved drugs are already circulating to kids, proving somebody got greedy and sloppy, and she realizes the poison spread far wider than one little underground stunt, those bastards, while the injured gray-haired kid is left clutching his head by the police car, completely rattled, as the detective rushes in, catching the collapse and demanding the car be checked first. Then the search turns inside, and the whole place goes dead quiet when the evidence vanishes, leaving her staring in disbelief, wondering where that bastard disappeared to, while the school looms like a sealed crime scene under moonlit trees, boxed in by fate, and inside, the hooded lord gets cornered, as Jin Jae-hee begs for mercy, pathetically late. Greed has Jin Jae-hee foaming at the mouth, begging for stronger drugs, while that horned dealer coolly scolds him over the priceless flowers he trashed, and the demonic pressure answers first, curling through the room like a leash, because somebody dragged in these humans, wrecked the lineup, and wasted the whole setup. Then the purple-haired idiot doubles down, whining for mercy like a cornered child, before yelling hell murder that bastard if he gets one more chance, but Lavis only turns, eyes flat, already judging the boy's pathetic courage, as her strike lands, and his confidence folds into a bloody little mess, leaving him screaming while she crushes his face with effortless disgust, and the room finally learns who the real monster is. Lavis looms over him, reminding the coward of his blood oath, then cruelly demanding one last show of loyalty with those flowers, and the corpse's meaning turns vicious. The whole city outside stays silent, like it knows disaster already won, while the gray-haired kid desperately loots the office, muttering survival plans, only for the purple-haired idiot to notice him and lose his smug act, because now even the police are nearby, and his little scheme is cooked. The two crash into a panic-filled standoff, with the fool acting tough, then instantly exposing how badly the black-haired menace owns him, blue ribbon and all, So the desperate brat starts trembling, barking about what the other took, and the girl stands there like a predator, with the busted tools at her feet. The gray-haired kid is rummaging the office, panicked and cursing, like disaster just kicked the door in. Then the smug, purple-haired idiot notices him and gets folded by reality almost instantly, because the kid's already on the floor, surrounded by broken tools and worse luck, while purple-haired Jae-hee sputters about blue ribbon, suddenly realizing he's not in charge, and the room answers with a demonic chokehold, crushing his bravado into a joke, as he begs for the blue ribbon back. Limbs twisting under that black pressure, the gray-haired student swears he does not want to die like this, which, fair, but the purple smoke keeps swelling around the rich idiot until his face vanishes, leaving him trembling in a shrinking halo of filth, finally understanding consequences, and Lavis stands above it all, smirking, because this mess was never for him. The floor's already won, and the purple-haired punk starts begging for mercy, but Lavis answers with icy contempt, basically tossing his doom like trash, while he curses his luck, realizing hell's not a threat anymore, just paperwork. Then she smiles and claims the body here, turning fear into ownership. As the scene widens, the sky above the school crackles with violent purple traces, and the demon crowd greets the newcomers like this mess was a housewarming, because Lavis ally immediately calls out the scheme, exposing the blue ribbon setup, which makes the horned woman snap back that Minho's son is already marked. Then the smug fool finally learns the bloodstone was hidden inside his body, and that revelation lands like a coffin lid, crushing his last bit of ego. Lavis detonates the room, calling out that boy's meltdown, while her pink-haired ally needles Yuri, betting she'll finally trust her. Yuri stays icy, admitting trust is not the issue, and world pressure is, because one crack could collapse everything. With Lavis standing center stage like a catastrophe, and the crowd admits she's stronger than expected, aggressive enough to outclass everyone, which makes the horned woman rage harder, warning any harm to Lavis means death. Jin Jae-hee keeps squirming, getting mocked for still swinging at a monster, while Banbei pleads for calm, before the gray-haired brat snaps about his crazy brother. Then the bodies pile up, and even Lavis admits survival here was a miracle, as the night outside looks peaceful, ridiculously normal, compared to this collapse. So the human rumor finally cracks, and the gray-haired kid freezes, while the black-haired suit keeps it smug, casually owning the demon label. Then the truth lands harder, because hell is apparently just Minho's new address, and Lavis steps in like royalty, declaring herself master, which is hilarious, since the terrified kid panics, but the threat comes back nastier than him. Then the room shifts, and the real question becomes Minho's fate, because the gray-haired boy finally asks what happened to the real Minho, and the answer is brutal, Lavis saying death was inevitable either way. So the kid sputters in disbelief, wondering why Minho had to die, but the suit just shrugs, promising everyone a reunion in the demon realm. So the demon realm confession lands, and Street finally realizes it's not a joke. Lavis makes the place sound gloriously monstrous, while the cat gleefully amplifies the horror. Seongjun stays slick and calm, casually telling Street to keep the damage quiet. Street folds into panic, which is embarrassing, but at least has honest. Then he limps out, still hurting, still annoyed, and somehow choosing Lavis anyway. Night falls over the apartment block, as if the whole city is bracing for fallout. Inside, Seongjun massages his head, and suspects the bloodstone really did overcook him. Birthday chaos crashes in next, all smiles, cake, and suspiciously perfect cheer. The girl gushes about the cake, acting adorable while cornering him with family drama. Then she ambushes him for real, because apparently celebrations here come with tackles. Birthday chaos starts classy, with Seongjun looming while Yuri weaponizes cuteness. He barely reacts, and she leans in, sniffing out the blood under that party mask. She casually explains helping strangers, like that somehow excuses the mess. He calls it peculiar, which is rich, coming from the human storm cloud behind her. Then she switches gears, shoving cake at him with suspiciously perfect sweetness. He takes the bite, instantly regretting every life choice that led here. And suddenly he's melting over the taste, as if sugar just won the war. Yuri smirks, because she knows exactly how hard she just landed that emotional cheap shot. Meanwhile, the ugly side of the party arrives, and Seongjun orders retaliation. The bodyguard gets cocky, so the older boss slaps him down in one ugly instant. The suit-bound patriarch snaps, as the woman keeps clingy chaos alive, and his shove back lands ugly, while her desperate grip only makes it messier. The girl begs them to stop, clutching cake like innocence can fix bloodlines, but the suited man recoils. Stunned that dessert came with this much disrespect, then he lectures her about Minho's birthday, as if timing is the joke. The whole table erupts, because this family drama just got weaponized by cake, and his furious threat about a real father finally gets answered face first, leaving frosting, blood, and humiliation exploding across the room like cheap confetti. The mother pleads again. But the birthday excuse sounds even worse now, while the smug suit turns to the looming boss, realizing this party is doomed. The room goes dead silent as Seong-jun stares back, already bored of the drama, and his reaction says this household is suffocating even by rich kid standards. Then the kitchen door bursts the tension wide open, exposing pure household chaos, with cake shattered across the floor while the party mood gets thoroughly murdered, until Eurus' blackened aura blooms, and she treats the mess like stolen property, while the mother apologizes through tears, somehow still protecting the child in front, as the suited boy stiffens, realizing this birthday party has become his embarrassment. Then he spits out his rage at the so-called bastard, oozing arrogance, and that bluff lands badly, because the bigger players are already elsewhere, where another suit is raging over the missing Youngmoo like a greedy clown. Seong-jun explodes over Minho's missing photo, demanding upfront payment and hurling blame. His aide swears to find Wee Youngmoo, while the office stays tense and obedient. The next suit rages about begging approval ratings, calling everyone around him trash. Then the door flies open, and a panicked underling blurts that Minha's video is going viral. At the desk, the calm boss only snaps back with confusion. While the request gets shoved forward, the recording flips to the street, where a gray-haired student captures the whole meltdown. Chaos outside keeps spreading, as a girl defends an old woman and gets insulted. Meanwhile, the stern man orders everyone to leave, getting roasted for his smug attitude. Back on the phone, concern shifts to the elderly witness, and the girl gently checks on her. That whole spectacle suddenly echoes the Mina incident, and the room realizes the scandal's bigger. The smug bastard keeps grinning, acting like this meltdown is entertainment, and now has literally calling it a great photo op, because subtlety died first. Outside, the scandal blows up, as the hidden face suddenly becomes headline material, while the purple-haired fool gets dragged into the spotlight, his confidence evaporating fast. Then the room pivots to a creepy family meeting, where the target is sized up, and the black bob woman plays coy while the silver-haired one starts getting disgustingly pleased, because apparently the kid's face is fine, which is rich coming from these creeps. The silver-haired woman then admits the child is exactly what she wanted, naturally, so the whole thing turns into a new body transfer pitch, and that's just sick, because human bodies age too fast, and these monsters call that business. So the demon sees a flawless new vessel, and calls it destiny, while that smug blue-haired creep treats the poor girl like property, and the classmates are already joking about how fast she'll break, except the video blast turns her into a headline overnight. Brutally convenient. Now the polls swing hard in her favor, because public pity sells, and the office vultures immediately hear Minha's clip is going prime time, which makes the slick executive grin, because chaos is apparently branding. Then he decides the family will be milked for optics. Ridiculously shameless. When Nox Entertainment gets named, he perks up at the footage, and that interest lands like a poison-laced business deal, naturally. Nox finally hits the room, and Seong-jun perks up at the name, because Minha's clip is still being treated like premium entertainment, and suddenly everybody's whispering the real bombshell, Minho's stepdad, not some random nobody, but a mayoral candidate, which is deliciously ugly, so the talk shifts to Minho and Minha's bond, all bright nostalgia. Then the cherished her angle lands, exposing how careful that family was, while the demon crowd crashes in, loud enough to make everyone else irrelevant, and Seong-jun's face goes blank, the exact expression of a man losing leverage, before the alley conversation turns personal, with the family secret finally opening up, and the whole mess circles back to why he keeps butting in again. The Demon Gate rumors hit first, and that tiny mascot is already losing it, because Lavis casually signs the whole mess over with a smug little gift, while Jin Jae-hee cracks under pressure, finally realizing he's being played, and the evidence flips to the mayoral candidate father, which is gorgeous chaos, as Street hears the scandal's real shape and starts connecting the family thread, with Seong-jun and his friend practically lecturing about city-level power. How original. Then the black-haired skeptic coolly reduces it all to greedy human management, forcing Street to ask if Minho is secretly some underworld glutton, and the demon explanation lands hard, because even other monsters hate that thing, so when the mascot stammers about Lavis, the whole room finally knows who's in control. Really? Suspicious? He clocks the whole human world as rotten, then Street gets warned to eat less, while Ravis claims his loyalty, and the two students connect candidate Young Taesik to Minha's exploitation, making the black-haired boy wonder if Minho's family is hiding something, as the apartment looms like a stage for whatever disaster hits next, and Seong-jun casually asks what becomes of Minha from here, while the adults praise her looks and pretend that fixes everything, with one smug genius noting she is still a student, not entertainment. Then another voice insists, hiding talent is wrong for a child, and the father backpedals, calling his wife reserved, because wow. Don't worry, madam. Knox is already promising balance over chaos here, because idle life now means school, schedules, and corporate polish, apparently, while the black-haired boy silently questions what kind of family this is, and the contract gets treated like some elegant excuse for exploitation, with Knox's cold queen insisting the candidate's future still looks marketable, as the girl stays eerily composed, which only makes them look more foolish. Then the room turns social, with Minha's brother getting theatrically introduced, and the boy remains blank while the CEO hypes his own importance, before the older man suddenly calls out young Minho, demanding recognition, but the horned woman shuts it down, acting like the child's panic is adorable. So this is the kind of family Minho cherished, apparently. And wow, Ravis steps in like a smug final boss, claiming she's always on his side, while the black-haired kid just stares, realizing this nonsense somehow gets worse, because the demon queen starts explaining how hostile forces hunt the ruler's power, and then she crowns the boy as the heir meant to inherit Gamuper's throne, which is hilarious, since he immediately rejects destiny like it's a bad sales pitch, but Ravis only laughs harder, promising he'll meet people who change him someday. Then she doubles down, saying that change will sneak up on him anyway, yet he stays blank. The same stubborn little face refusing the whole prophecy, until they cut to training, where even his nephew is already being dragged in. Jung Minha gets singled out, and the room instantly tightens, while the suited heir challenges her with that smug, polished menace. But she still turns, half hopeful, calling him Oppa, and he plays hero, promising to drag her out of this mess, until she drops into silence, crushed and cornered anyway, because the adults answer with ugly force, swearing no escape, and the panic explodes as they threaten the whole family register. Then the cruelty gets personal, daring them to survive, nameless, before the kids fire back about grandpa's gifts and mom's trust, and the final lesson lands. Survival means grabbing, then never letting go. Memorize it. The warning lands like a brand on Eurus' nerves, then Lavis smirks, treating obedience like a cute little suggestion, while Seongjun calmly claims the choice, because of course he does, and the deal gets uglier. With profit shoved straight into his name, Yuri tries to save Minha and Oppa, but gets boxed in. Then the adults smugly call Minha a given. As if destiny pays taxes, Lavis seals the contract, smiling like she already won the funeral. Yuri begs the president to protect Minha, sounding desperate but honest, and the black-haired woman dares to question her certainty, worried now, before Yuri doubles down, trusting mom once, because that's the trap. Yuri's fake cheer only sharpens the tension, because everyone's watching her. Seongjun stays icy, acting like he already owns the outcome. Outside, the convoy rolls in like luxury wrapped around trouble. Lavis eyes Yuri like a perfect vessel, and that's somehow worse. Yuri pushes back with desperate courage, still begging for Minha. Jin Jae-hee starts cracking, suddenly very aware of consequences. The silver-haired woman treats the whole thing like a premium selection. Even the black bob attendant looks rattled by the demon talk. Lavis coolly labels the target as something beyond human, and smugly loves it. Jin Jae-hee asks for help, but restraint is the only answer. The silver-haired buyer cuts the noise short, putting Minha above everything. Lavis towers over Yuri, and the demon aura makes that bargain ugly. Yuri still clings to Minho, while the smug promise sounds almost generous. Then the black bob attendant freezes, as Mara's name lands like a curse. The pressure spikes again, because Minha is now the family's chosen prize. Lavis dismisses demons, kings, and black seats, like nothing can touch her. Outside, the school tower looms over the girl as if fate itself is waiting. Yuri steadies her breathing, acting brave enough to fool even herself. Her foot finally moves, and the whole room feels that tiny rebellion. Cameras stare down, and the announcer locks every eye onto Minha. Knox Ent's silver-haired boss casually crowns Minha the new center, while the trainees stare like she just stole a whole future, and the jealous orange-haired girl immediately starts acting wounded, predictably tragic, because suddenly the door opens, and backup arrives for the smug little takeover, which only makes her sneer harder at Minha's so-called family privilege. Then she snaps at the girl for stealing the spot she bled for, and the pink-hooded target gets hit with a vicious, ugly burst of force, but Minha keeps that same icy composure, like the pain barely matters, until the blood on her face says the room has crossed a line, and the whole little talent show turns into a humiliation parade. The mansion gate groans open, and the first hint of trouble slips inside. Meanwhile, the living room turns into a circus, because the kid loves attention. He points at the screen like a genius, already begging for mom's validation. Then the clinic gossip lands hard, and Minha's face becomes tonight's headline. She just stands there, silent, while everyone else starts losing dignity. Lavis leans in and brands the worm beneath her, with disgust to spare. That's when the demon wakes up furious, because nobody touches its vessel. Outside, the rumor mutates into hype, and Minha's debut sounds unreal. Street gets interrogated by the loud demon, while the hoodie guy observes. He shrugs off the family drama, but the president lady still irritates him. Minho's glare gets called useless, yet nobody flinches, which is irritating. Lavis calmly explains long-term demons hide their aura, like it's kindergarten. She zeroes in on Minho, warning even Lavis can't be shot blindly. The gray-haired kid nervously repeats Minho's name, then insults that glare. Minho answers coldly that demons are suspicious, aura or not, and that's that. He admits he couldn't find Barca, which somehow makes him sound even angrier. Then the deal explodes, as Street is ordered into Demon Realm boot camp. Minho snaps that powerless kids get ignored, so the pressure turns savage. Lavis suddenly treats the Bloodstone as solved, restoring her demon power. Minho accepts the mission, while the poor servant gets promoted by force. The alley opens cold and quiet, but trouble is already closing in, and the girl in yellow is barely holding together after 4 years of hype. Then the blade pressure cuts through the silence, sharp enough to make nonsense vanish, because somebody big just arrived, and her little panic routine suddenly looks adorable. The black-clad demon woman steps into view, all poise and menace, while the orange-haired trainee starts unraveling, begging like her pride never existed. One look says the truth is ugly, and Minho's name is already dragging in blame. Before anyone can blink, the attack turns vicious, slicing past denial and bravado. Her face freezes in pure horror as the pressure keeps building, merciless and public. And now the room knows it. The deal's real, and she's cooked. Blood spat across her cheek, and the accusation hit like a public execution, while the blue-haired demon girl stood over the mess, radiating pure try-me energy. Then the family memory hit, all fake concern and forced sweetness, and nobody bought it, because the silver-haired woman was already snickering, like this disaster was somebody else's problem. The black smoke twisted upward next, and the little demon bragged with terrifying confidence. Above the apartment block, the whole night looked cursed, like the ceiling of a nightmare. Down below, the bloodied girl could only grimace, still refusing to break completely. But even her panic looked weak, compared to the monster smirking right in her face. The shadowy demon adored that fear, then leaned in like a predator picking dinner. And just like that, the room learned she wasn't bluffing. Humans be damned. The demon's promise sounds nurturing, but it's pure menace, dressed as mercy, while the captives panic as their so-called children become bargaining chips, and the smoke-borne curse crashes down, chewing through the room's fake confidence, leaving the whole scene looking less like a family dispute, more like a slaughterhouse. Then the silver-haired woman snickers at the wreckage, like empathy was optional, and the gray-haired fool freezes, suddenly realizing this honey routine is poison, because the adults keep tightening the noose, while he starts sweating through every excuse, until even his pathetic denials fold under the pressure, completely, embarrassingly, pathetically. The panic spikes, the room stutters, and the husband accusation lands like a knife, while the smug woman digs deeper, trashing his worth like he was furniture. So now the coward finally spots the stranger, and panic leaks everywhere, while the hand keeps pressing in, asking why he even cares, casually cruel. Then the fool tears loose, screaming for help, dragging a name through chaos, and outside, that same nightmare stretches across the building in bloodied streaks. Back inside, the body gets handled like property, with filthy fingers claiming ownership, because the silver-haired monster smirks and announces the body is hers now. Down in delivery room, the whole scheme detonates, and everybody starts losing it. Even the green-clad enforcer gets wrecked, while she keeps snarling through the pain. She hurls insults, demands the parasites be pulled out, and threatens murder, then blames that bitch Ineus, as the horned demon silently crowns the disaster. 2 scrubbed-up medics freeze, because the children's condition just went sideways. Those babies look dead to the room, and everybody's panic turns ugly. The silver-haired queen acts bored, even after childbirth leaves her wrecked. Her twins keep reaching for Ma, while the adults stare like vultures. Then she starts mocking the magic thief, treating him like disposable luggage. She orders the kid to grow fast, because her vengeance needs a vessel. Outside, the gossip machine spins, calling the wife shattered and overexposed. They even drag the children's absence into it, like that excuses anything. Back in the club, she corners a broadcasting guy, wearing power like perfume, and with that smug little smile, she starts hunting for pretty, useful kids. The smug dealer keeps staring, already tasting power through that purple haze, and now he's peeling back the next excuse, like he owns the room, while the captive slumps under his shoulder, too tired for dignity. Frankly, because in his warped little fantasy, every pretty kid is inventory. Then the silver-haired queen twists the knife, coldly naming the daughter, and the detective hears how the girl was adored, talented, and doomed, as the questioning shifts to grudges, stalking, and who dared get close, but the gray-haired witness folds under pressure, coughing out panic instead, which only makes the adults move on him faster, charming as ever, and the handler finally punts the girl toward the other trainees. He finally nods, coldly deciding this meeting is over, and the detective takes the cue, escorting Park Seong-hoon out, while her stare lingers, unreadable, almost polite, almost predatory, as the hallway door shuts and the room keeps brooding. The panicked woman keeps barking orders, sweating through her bravado, because the body is already failing, and she hates waiting. Then the vile gray mass starts swarming, turning into a nightmare, as the detective scours the scene and the family freaks out, while the blue-haired demon smirks, promising this mess won't stay hidden, and the rotten vessel screams for revenge, now completely losing it. Inside the cramped room, Lavis casually reassures her anxious mother, because body theft apparently needs manners. Then she snaps at everyone to stop stalling and start already. Like this horror show is a schedule. The suit-wearing authority drags up high-end scandal, and the camera just sits there, unblinking. Lavis mocks the whole situation as another psychotic daytime attack, while her companion looks utterly done. Manhwa gets the safety speech and the dormitory ultimatum, because apparently terror now comes with housing. Her protest is tiny, but the room doubles down, demanding dorm life like it's some sacred idol rule. Lavis answers with that smug finger raise and offers full-body takeover, classic demon hospitality. Manhwa immediately thinks of her mom and brother, and suddenly the demand stops sounding cute. The black-haired authority then calls her demanding, while finishing the threat with icy patience. Lavis keeps smiling and pats her down, proving embarrassment is the only thing she can't survive. The smug threat lands first, and suddenly that girl's face is a death sentence, while Lavis turns a toxic family warning into casual demon-flavored babysitting, as the adults lock Manhwa into dorm life and a tomorrow she never asked for, and her tiny protest gets drowned by the same old safety nonsense. Naturally, because Lavis offers body takeover like it's a generous housewarming gift, then Manhwa remembers her family, and wow, terror finally finds its leverage, when the black-haired authority backs her into obedience with effortless boredom, while Lavis keeps smirking, because apparently embarrassment is her only weakness. And that flashes back to Banbi's letter, where control methods became the real prize, so the Demon Bloodstone plan begins, with Lavis forced to learn or burn. Originally, the Demon Bloodstone was prison tech, sealing power inside captives, until breaking it releases everything, and one kid's eye has to get smashed. Then Lavis casually sends that cursed child straight to the target. How generous, with a letter ordering delivery and strength-finding, because subtlety died here, while the idiot in the suit swears to shred Bombay first, reading optional, and the poor fool immediately wonders if the method was written inside that letter. Even the cat loses its mind, screaming Master Lavis as disaster level. Confirmed, because something terrible happened. And now the boy is running on two legs, as the room shifts to Han Yong-ju and those twins everyone asked about, until the mascot detonates the truth. Mara was CEO Han Yong-ju. Apparently, gray-haired street freezes as Mara's name lands, because nobody wanted that answer. The Black Seat Witch reveal hits next, and suddenly the room is cursed. One smug boy just laughs it off, acting brave for the cameras. Another casually confirms the woman hid here, like this chaos is Tuesday. Then Lady Ineas gets praised as the demon realm's prettiest disaster. She replies that beauty starts with swallowing truth, not empty vanity. The green-dressed noble swoons over the poetry, because standards are dead. Even the mother backs it, grooming her daughter for silver-tongued obedience. Ineas accepts the honor, promising to bless the girl's rhetoric, smugly, and the poor child thanks her, while everyone else pretends this is normal. Inside the demon room, the horned woman dismisses the whole spectacle as nonsense, while the blonde courtier gushes about Lord Veliox, as if chaos needs compliments. Then Aeneas accepts the praise and promises a blessing for his daughter too. The young blonde recoils, because that kind of blessing sounds cursed by design, but the demon woman only smirks, turning the room into her personal sermon. And there it is, the name drop. Ineas, the beautiful nightmare nobody escaped, before the cat-like gremlin starts unraveling Mara Velio's embarrassing backstory, dragging out childhood neglect, ignored warnings, and the kind of family stupidity that ages badly. Then the old demon scandal lands hard, with greed, the dark thrones, and human hell, and somehow the real question becomes why that mess crawled straight toward Manhwa. He dismisses the theory, because if she knew, she'd never vanish. Then he admits this body's broken state can't face that woman, The cat mascot practically explodes, demanding stronger demon bloodstone prep. That turns the whole place into witch hunt theater, with Street watching. Now it's the supermarket, where Manhwa gets dragged into family panic. Her guardian worries. The trouble started right after Manhwa joined. Manhwa stays polite, claiming management thinks the culprit will be caught soon. The older woman softens, hinting her veterinary dream complicates everything. So the pair keep shopping, with anxiety trailing behind them quietly, and the pet food bag reminds us why this dream takes forever. She stares at that hellish house, determined to drag Mom out, by sheer strength, not some pathetic borrowed miracle, then starts talking dreams, fame, and money like she owns tomorrow, while Mom quietly worries dorm life will steal her face away. But the girl shrugs off the guilt, promising the chaos will settle, and even apologizes for the remarriage mess that dragged everyone here, only for Mom to cut that nonsense down, defending her own struggle, because raising 2 kids alone was brutal, and Dad was no saint. So the whole family history spills out, exposing how deceived they were, and Manhwa finally snaps the mood back, telling Mom to wait. A carnival skyline erupts in panic, and the park starts screaming, while riders tilt into chaos, proving gravity loves humiliating people, but Seongjun stays icy, mocking fear like it's beneath him. Then the toilet excuse collapses, and his bravery looks pathetic, because the cheeky student snaps back, done with the secondhand rides, and suddenly the scene shifts to a cursed gate, soaked in twilight, where Street and the others confirm this is Lord Lava's trail. As the blue-haired demon girl smugly claims she hunted it down, Seongjun presses harder, asking the demon's name like he owns answers, and Lavas drops the bomb, Scream, a fear-fueled demon power. Lavas smugly pitches baiting the trail with a great screamer, cocky as ever, while Seongjun and Street trade bravado, and the tough act looks paper-thin. Then Seongjun orders the haunted entrance handled, so the idiot gets hauled in, and the cursed gate answers with twisted flesh, ropes, and a very bad vibe. Street admits they came for that something, while Seongjun keeps the pressure sharp, and the dark trace surges as the room realizes this decoration bites back. The student keeps squirming, but Seongjun plays it cool, testing the enemy's reaction, then mocks the panic, claiming he only faked fear, because apparently ego is armor. When Lavas asks if that was his first scream, he folds instantly, and the demon eye opens, because yes, the trail just found its snack. The demon bloodstone wakes up fast, because evil apparently pays in installments, and Street realizes the thing drinks demon wickedness even harder than human trash, so Lavas leans in, grinning as the scream tastes sweet and metallic, while the monster answers with pure newborn hunger, and the crowd starts freaking out, because yes, the sound just fed it again, like clapping for a disaster. Then the terrified student yells for Manhwa, finally spotting the demon behind the bargain, until a hand clamps down, and Seongjun shuts the whole panic showdown, claiming the attendant is his. Like ownership makes this circus look classy, but the stone only smirks back, sniffing out his not-quite-human scent, and promising to hear whatever scream comes out of that mouth next. Lavas turns the pain into theater, while Manhwa gets launched hard, uselessly. The cursed stone gulps that scream, and the goblin grins at the buffet. Street crawls in green panic, still filming, because apparently horror needs receipts. Seongjun surges in next, left hand burning, blaming his limits like that helps. The monster sneers at his escape route, and calls him prey anyway. Then the pink slash drops the brute, proving swagger means nothing here. Street yelps for Manhwa, while claws and chaos close in fast. Lavas and the demon savor the fear, like it is premium seasoning. The room snaps back at the noise, because screaming only buffs the beast, and the stone keeps laughing, drunk on terror, with everyone looking breakable. The demon fumes over bootstraps, already planning earrings from captives. Seongjun's confidence cracks, as that pink curse answers with brutal precision. Lavas keeps grinning, while the room learns bravado has no armor. The taunt lands harder, and even the bully starts looking refreshingly edible. Street panics for Manhwa, as the fight closes in around them. The smoky entity enjoys the fear, because apparently suffering is gourmet. Seongjun lunges back in, only to get swatted like a bad joke. Street gets crushed by panic, clutching his face like that, helps. Then the demon smugly weaponizes his friends, Scream, escalating everything. That cursed blade gleams green, and the whole room braces for collapse. Lavas keeps grinning while promising a delicious scream and eyeball collection, but the purple-haired punk suddenly learns demons hate being taunted. Badly, as Lavas leans in, mocking his courage and daring him to test it, and the cursed pressure spikes straight into his eye, because subtlety died. His face splits into panic, yet the room only gets uglier from there. Street clamps down on his own mouth, realizing bravery has a real price, while the stone and Scream get weaponized together, turning fear into ammunition. The cat-like mascot stares on, somehow still making horror look cute. Then the black-haired authority cuts in, smiling like this mess amuses him, and Minho's vision clears, which is never a comforting sign. The bloodstone starts cracking open, and the hidden demon thread begins to surface. Lavis coolly explains, she rigged it to carry the demonic power inside Manhwa. So the real unlock condition was always destruction, which is absolutely vile. Lim Sion freaks out as the screaming blade still cannot reach a human eye. Then the reply lands hard, because this body is no mere human at all. The demon freaks out next, uselessly clawing air while Manhwa keeps advancing. Seongjun leans in and keeps screaming, like volume alone can save him. Street panics over the plan, realizing trusting Manhwa is the only play. The room finally catches on, and everyone stares as the pressure keeps climbing. So yeah, the weak kid was the nightmare all along, and now he is awake. The room detonates into panic as Street watches the blonde kid unravel, while the smoky demon savors every scream like gourmet entertainment. Honestly disgusting. Then Seongjun reveals the seal lifts through destruction, not heroics. Surprise, and Lim Sion finally realizes the monster wearing a student face is the one getting stronger, which is almost funny now, because even the demon starts slipping when Manhwa presses closer, and Seongjun keeps basking in chaos, acting slick as the pressure, only for Manhwa to demand the scream itself, turning panic into weaponry, before the whole exchange crashes into a vicious counterattack. Bloodstone, and the smug crowd learns too late that Manhwa was the disaster. The shell finally cracks, and Manhwa tastes the bloodstone's rotten heartbeat. He lunges through the blast, dragging panic into pure, weaponized momentum, and the demon inside finally admits the ugly truth. More evil means more power. Seongjun keeps smirking, because of course the smug guy treats catastrophe like theater, while the black smoke monster starts losing control, like a toy with a snapped wire. Then Manhwa leans in closer, demanding the scream itself, and that is nasty. Lavis coolly explains the bloodstone system, basically calling human evil premium fuel. The pressure spikes, and even the demon realizes it's been fed the wrong monster. Lim Sion stares at the scene, finally understanding Manhwa is the real disaster, and Seongjun, still grinning, decides the next demon is probably dinner. A towering glass prison looms over the city, already feeling sinister, and inside, the director greets her victim like this is normal, then calmly orders Manhwa to unpack, because freedom is apparently optional, while Manhwa answers with that tiny, crushed compliance nobody respects, and the door shuts on her like a petty little sentence, because her exhausted face finally realizes this place is not a joke. Her clenched fist says she is scared, but not finished yet. The resolve kicks in, and she decides to survive this circus. Even the hallway camera feels smug, like it owns her downfall, because now every move is being watched, judged, and recorded. The hallway already reeks of demonic pressure, and Manhwa gets called excitedly forward, while the possessed smile promises obedience, because apparently family horror is now a formal introduction. Then the arrogant jab at the former Black Throne lands, but the room answers with colder authority. As the captives are dragged into view, the weed's insult starts sounding painfully like nonsense, and the hooded figure admits this human shell is exhausting, which is somehow the least embarrassing thing here. So she unveils prepared children as her shield, turning that smug little gathering into her backup plan, but the horned authority scoffs at the hybrid nonsense, mocking the parents for looking ridiculous, then doubles down on the logic of ownership, because if she birthed them, she thinks she bought them, until the hooded demon explodes over the insult to sacred flowers, and the room finally snaps, because the attack tears through him, proving nobody forgot his true form, no matter how loudly he lied. The demonic spring finally snaps back, and the smug kid eats pure humiliation. Even the hooded matriarch can only grin, calling that failure a decent start. Then the stolen spring gets dragged into daylight, because greed loves drama. The captured children become the proof, and suddenly nobody looks so clever. That's when the truth lands. This is the demonic soul spring, stolen from Tsar Nahim. Its waters feed power itself, which makes this little theft look even uglier. Mara demands her property back, while the demon woman screams about ownership. The children are shoved into the bargain, because villains adore pathetic leverage. But the masked authority closes in, and the old lie starts collapsing fast. Now the whole road stinks of Mara, and escape looks laughable. They finally reach the building, and even the cat knows this place reeks of trouble, because the whole crew is staring at a monster-sized structure, like it's perfectly normal. Then the blue-haired demon girl starts whining about her ruined nose. Real tragic stuff, while Manhwa keeps moving like the only adult in this disaster, dragging the panic behind him, and the black-haired authority conveniently decides the nervous tagalong is useful after all, so the so-called burden gets promoted to shield, which is hilarious coming from these amateurs. Then Lavis loudly calls for him to crush Mara, as if that's a polite request, but the moment Minho invites the blue-haired girl along, she absolutely loses her confidence, realizing wealth and glory mean nothing when the boss stops smiling. She wants Bambi back, and somewhere behind them, Mara's sealing circle crackles because the punishment is arriving. The sealing circle blooms again, and that smug little prison starts whispering back. Lavis begs the Witch of Greed for mercy, because arrogance ages terribly under pressure. Minho keeps the room moving, while the captive suddenly auditions for usefulness. Even the demon girl's confidence cracks. Once wealth stops meaning anything, the adults label one supplier a greedy addict, and the whole family bargain gets uglier. Then Minho spots the supposed brother, and the poor kid instantly panics. His glasses guy friend starts sweating too, realizing those corpses are very real. Lavis names the blue-haired demon girl, then acts like obedience was always obvious. Sion casually boasts he saved everyone, which is hilarious coming from this mess. But the truth hits hard, and the real demon world looks disgustingly familiar. Lavis corners the truth fast, blaming the ruined plan on Youngmu, and wow, her eyes say human was never the full story, which is adorable denial, because the blue-haired demon girl gets named as Lord Lavis Vindica, heir of slaughter, and the room detonates when that means the butcher was a demon prince all along. Then the masked horror is recognized as Lavis, the family-killing bastard everyone feared, which suddenly gives him hope, because a prisoner in a human body can still fight back, so he thinks revenge might actually work. Until that blue-haired pest could stab him any time, but the hateful demon woman is the real nightmare. Even sending her son here, so the schoolboy admits 3 enemies are too many, especially with Bauer lurking behind, and Seung-jun smugly postpones that problem, ordering Bauer out like he owns the apocalypse. The demon heir sneers at Minho, certain this body still belongs to Lavis, but Minho detonates the room, ordering the arrogant pest to crawl out. That confidence cracks instantly, and Lavis starts looking painfully mortal. Then Minho crowns himself Lord of Blood, and the whole place goes purple. Lavis chokes on the revelation, stunned that a human body can wield magic. Meanwhile, the gray-haired witness sees danger everywhere, because 3 enemies is already ugly. The black-cloaked troublemaker gets launched away, proving this lobby is not safe. Then Minho turns on the fake matriarch, roasting her old woman act brutally. She snaps back like a cartoon villain, screaming about stolen bodies and disrespect. Even Lavis panics now, while Minho smirks says this mess is still his. Lavis is suddenly thrilled, because this wounded demon girl smells fresh trouble, and that curiosity turns nasty when she starts imagining the child's reaction, while Minho flaunts his power, asking who will bring the bastard's tongue first. Then the demon matriarch answers, smugly naming Hansu and Hanyong like pawns, and the room erupts into purple chains, spikes, and pure humiliation for everyone nearby. Jae-hee lounges in like a clown prince, calling himself Mom's obvious favorite, but the white-haired demon woman slices back, ordering him to stay out, as the fight explodes around the tiled floor and bodies start flying, while bystanders scramble, because this lobby has officially turned into a butcher shop, and Minho keeps smiling, like this entire disaster still belongs to him. The chained loudmouth keeps snarling, while purple blades keep shredding his confidence. Behind him, the cool-headed one answers with deadpan contempt, refusing to babysit. Minho studies their chaos, smugly noting their teamwork is already non-existent. Then he weaponizes that weakness, baiting them into tearing each other apart. The purple-haired idiot panics mid-swing, realizing he almost got clipped again, and the black-haired strategist calmly labels them a terrible, split-second matchup. Steel and purple force slam together, turning one lucky opening into a massacre. Even the stern-eyed handler gets battered, as everyone crowds Minho's kill zone. The chained fool keeps screaming for another chance, which is honestly pathetic, but the calm-faced girl only scoffs, because this entire mess is his. Minho turns the whole exchange into a joke, slicing their opening apart, and even his eyes admit the mixed blood still packs nasty power, while the chained idiot keeps lashing out, swearing hell erase that bastard first, only for Minho to punish the grab, cracking his body and momentum alike, because of course the purple-haired fool still thinks he gets the finishing blow, until Minho drops through the counterattack, leaving him bleeding and airborne. Then those empty eyes realize he dodged right in the middle of chaos, as the chained brat panics about dying too soon, not by his own hand, and the battlefield spreads out, bodies scattered while Minho keeps carving the kill zone. That's the ugly truth. Nobody here is teaming up, they're just feeding him. Minho swats the purple-haired brute aside, purple power flashing like humiliation, while Lavis hunches over the blood-stained rail, muttering death threats through obsession. Then Minho twists the counterattack, and the smug idiot eats concrete confidence, because he admits his mana is lacking. yet still tries baiting sisters, which sends Jin Jae-hee spiraling, screaming he was born 18 minutes earlier, and that tantrum gets erased instantly, as chains, and demon traces collide, leaving Lavis roaring in the air, while Minho and Seongjun carve the kill zone, as the purple-haired clown snaps back, calling everyone idiots for rushing close range, only to shriek that he alone will drag the bastard's corpse to mother first, and Minho watches, pleased. Since the desperate attacks only make him sharper, Minho closes the distance, pinning the fight squarely within his range, while Maravellas gets dragged back into the legend she once feared, and the witch loses her cool, howling like that insult should matter, as Lavis lunges in support, shouting for Lord Xion with desperate faith, but Minho swats through the attack, and the purple-haired clown folds, while Street claws at the pressure, whining that the heat suddenly turned vicious. Then the whole room twists colder, and everyone realizes the joke was on them, as Minha lies there, pale and quiet, the panic finally reaching her, and even Minho starts to worry, begging her to open her eyes. Lavis barrels into the clash, and Mara finally feels the legend bite back. Even so, the blue-haired fanatic begs Lord Xion to save Minha. Minho crushes that hope instantly, and the purple-haired clown folds hard. Street feels the room turn vicious, while his confidence evaporates in real time. Then the whole atmosphere freezes, and Minha goes pale as the joke lands. Even the earlier peaceful trio looks useless now, standing there like decorative witnesses. Jae-hee clenches up, realizing his swagger bought him nothing but humiliation. Minho still keeps charging forward, swearing nobody gets to lose Minha, and the final blow hits the dark mass, as the pressure keeps climbing. Lavis gets shredded by purple force, yet still screams through the pain, because the blue-haired demon girl thinks brute confidence can stop this circus, but Minho just keeps pressing harder, turning her warning into a punchline, and the would-be tough guy folds fast, discovering arrogance has terrible survival odds, while Lavis keeps getting pinned, gasping that even monsters can look embarrassingly helpless, as Minho drives the pressure deeper, refusing to let Minha become anyone's casualty. Then Lavis, cornered and bleeding, hisses for Lord Xion to watch closely, but Minho's assault leaves even the gray-haired student stunned and the room dead silent, and Jae-hee finally realizes this humiliation is the part where fear wins. The gray-haired kid gets flattened, and his courage evaporates instantly, while the smug demon woman smirks like this was always her meal. Then even the glasses boy realizes his body has betrayed him completely, as Lavis spits that she wasted too much time on those brats, and swears her broken flesh will still become Greed's opening. But Minha's stunned face catches the oath, and the room goes eerily still. Then the red-eyed lead cuts in, refusing to let her finish. His blade flash screams through the pressure, turning confidence into damage, and the demon-eyed stare hardens, because retreat is no longer on the menu, while the chained fool gets shredded too, learning fear is the real boss. The tiled floor becomes a battlefield, with bodies skidding under purple pressure, and Lavis gets intercepted mid-chaos. While the chains make swagger look stupid, Jin Jae-hee suddenly feels the restraints bite back, as confidence starts evaporating, because the demonic force keeps pressing, turning his little act into panic, and now his mouth is useless too, gagged by fear and pure humiliation, while the cocky demon girl taunts the wreckage, acting untouchable as always, until the smoky verdict rises behind her, black power spilling like a curse, and even the air warps when that pressure crushes the room's bravado, so the white-haired authority figure gets dragged into the same ugly collapse, leaving nothing but twitching defeat and purple smoke dripping over the floor. The room is frozen over the instant that fresh vessel starts answering, and the demon inside practically giggles, finally tasting perfect possession, while the broken body on the floor gets treated like brand new property, because every nerve in that shell is suddenly screaming deluxe satisfaction, and the smug girl absolutely loses her mind, declaring this beauty eternal, until the gray-haired kid realizes the joke is over and begs, but Lavis snaps the panic back at him, all teeth and attitude, as the helpless boy gets slammed for looking anywhere but at her, and now he knows he is already too late, with Minho closing in, while the dark-haired demon on the side goes feral over those lips. The purple-haired punk gets mauled first, and his confidence bleeds out instantly. Then the anxious girl barks for backup, because panic loves company. Even the tiny masked kid is sweating, realizing this mess just got personal. Meanwhile, the blonde, elf-looking guy smirks, treating the whole drama like theater. Lavis keeps basking in the chaos, because apparently pain is her love language. So the trapped boy gets folded hard, while her restraint game stays absurdly smug. Then another dark-haired witness finally notices Hansu has become the problem. Minho seizes that opening, swinging in like the villain who read ahead. But the fight snaps back, and the idiot gets publicly called out by family. By the end, Minha just stands there, staring as the whole room mutates. Inside the cursed room, Lavis grins while casually mocking the chaos below, and the trapped purple-haired fool gets folded fast, his swagger turning into panic, because the blue-haired demon girl keeps towering over him like a smug disaster, while Minha's body gets praised and dragged around like some twisted trophy. Then the nervous gray-haired witness realizes the whole stunt was about Manhwa, and Minho crashes in with savage pressure, finally swinging the situation off script. But the room snaps back, exposing the idiot's bluff in front of everybody as Moonless Night lore spills out, making demon contracts look horrifyingly unstable, with Mara's ritual still incomplete, because Minha's soul allegedly never left, and Lavis just stares in stunned silence. Realizing this nightmare actually got worse, Minha's panic hits first, and the room instantly smells like a cursed setup. Then the gray-haired witness spots the real target, and Minho's pressure answers back. Lavis keeps grinning, but that smug act starts sounding embarrassingly thin. She doubles down on the mimic game, mocking Manhwa like a stolen identity. Minho snaps, because nobody likes being publicly made into a joke. Lavis still toys with the moment, until even her confidence looks borrowed. The chains and threats only fuel the idiot bravado, which age badly on impact. Minho crushes the bluff, exposing how fake the whole demon banquet really was. The room widens into the full scene, where power, bodies, and lies pile up, and suddenly Lavis realizes this nightmare got worse, because Minho is not impressed. The purple seal skitters loose, and the whole room starts holding its breath. A wary girl looks down, already sensing this prank smells expensive. Then the little demon pops out, all smug menace and busted containment. Minho answers with that red-eyed glare, because clowning stops now. Yuri gets cornered in the chaos, looking way too exposed for comfort. Even Jin Jae-hee's face collapses, realizing bravado has absolutely no armor. Lavis keeps taunting, until the illusion bites back and ruins her grin. Firefighters and a detective flood in, because this disaster finally got public. Minho barrels through the mess, and Manhwa is left screaming in the crossfire. The blue-haired demon freezes hard, because the joke is no longer funny. Lavis gets her smug hands on the weapon, then instantly regrets the moment, because Minho's glare cuts through the flex, and Jin Jae-hee starts spiraling. The gray-haired student freezes next, realizing this whole circus has teeth, while the black-haired menace practically hands him doom and calls it help. Lavis finally stares at the device, and her confidence starts leaking out. Since only a weapon soaked in demon power could make her this uneasy, now the gray-haired fool is openly panicking, clutching a gun he never earned, and the purple shockwave slams back as the device answers with brutal recoil. The chaos explodes straight into his face, leaving him screaming in pink light, with his head spinning. Even he knows this prank has gone horribly wrong. The purple-eyed idiot is already dizzy, choking on demon pressure and panic, while the smug girl grills him for that ridiculous weapon and hidden scheme. Then the blue-haired horned woman storms in, and the whole room snaps tense, because calling that thing a toy is brave right up until it bites back, so the cocky brunette doubles down, mocking greed while the recoil starts whining. And the demon girl snaps back, refusing to let that insult land cleanly, as the floor gets littered with spilled power, and his confidence dies. Then the brunette smiles like a villain, admitting this was never simple, before she tries to swallow the whole thing, only to get crushed by it. And now the tentacles are thickening, because this disaster just keeps evolving. Mara finally adapts to the vessel, and the demonic pressure gets uglier. That fresh beast energy is pure arrogance, right before it bites back. One stare from Lavis says the joke stopped being funny instantly, because the cord to the vessel is exposed, and the whole lie is dangling. Manhwa gets declared ordinary human, which is hilarious for exactly 1 second, until Mara can't take the corruption all at once, and starts buckling. The backlash slams through the room, sending her power sprawling everywhere. Now they've got one job: sever the corpse-linked cord before it worsens. Even then, her breathing steadies, which is bad news in prettier packaging. So Jin Jae-hee just stares at the cursed gun, completely out of options. The joke dies fast, because the corpse-linked cord is finally exposed. Street locks onto the truth. The vessel's tentacles still cling there. Then he realizes Manhwa hasn't fully transferred yet, which is hilarious. The magic circle was only protecting the original body until completion. So yeah, there's still a chance if that circle gets erased. His eyes flare pink, and now geometry suddenly sounds like salvation. He squares up with the cursed gun, studying the circle's structure. Apparently magic is just shapes, formulas, and numbers, wearing drama. And that glowing trap is keeping Corpse and Manhwa connected together. So he hunts the weakness, ready to solve the whole cursed equation. Street checks the barrier equation, and suddenly geometry becomes salvation. Because Lord Sion's magic circle is basically a formula begging to fail, while that weapon somehow lets him read the seal like homework, so the smug attacker keeps lunging, thinking he's the main event. But Street stalls hard, buying time while the circle stays intact, then he flips the structure into matrix form like a nerdy menace, hunting the eigenvalue as if one weak point will ruin everything. And there it is, the critical point exposed. Ridiculously obvious now, so he sights the cursed gun at the circle's local minimum and crushes the whole setup with one beautifully nerdy destruction. A pink blast tears through the room, and Street barely holds the seal together, while the attacker keeps charging, as if stupidity is still a winning strategy. But the whole circle starts buckling, because math just embarrassed the magic, and Street's cursed gun turns into the nerdiest demolition tool imaginable. Orange Tails finally realizes she's not the star, and that look is priceless. Her smug ally gets launched across the floor, dignity leaving before the body does. Then the spellcaster freaks out, demanding answers from the boy he mocked, as Street just grins through the wreckage, apparently thrilled his formula worked. The gun sits there like a smug little verdict, proof the setup was doomed, and the magic circle collapses completely, ending their grand disaster with a flop. The blue-haired horned demon girl finally snaps, but the seal still resists, while Lord Xion gets praised off-screen and the disaster keeps pretending to have dignity. Then the hidden student lunges in, and her smug confidence gets hit with reality, because her corpse target and backup both eat a brutal combo of purple trouble, sending the Orange Tails girl into a full meltdown, which is honestly overdue, as the blue-haired demon shrieks about someone digging into her secrets, only for Street's cursed gun to keep grinding through her body and pride, and the whole floor turns into a wreckage parade, her momentum completely dying, while the corpse lies there and she panics over losing the whole arrangement, because even a noble body can't save you when the math has already won. Greed starts preaching from the rubble, and wow, what a self-own. The blue-haired demon snaps back, promising to chew that nonsense down. Then the whole truth ignites as her own smoke gets absorbed, ugly, and fast, and the masked authority drops Lord Rabus' name, turning fear into a spotlight, while the injured captive girl gets checked by a shaking hand, still somehow conscious, because the smug brunette realizes the trigger was real, and suddenly laughs stop. Then the cat-like demon child becomes the proof, chained inside the demon realm, meaning that red smoke from Brother Rabus' body was the whole rotten setup, and the final brag about keeping it forever lands like a confession, before the blade jerks free, forcing the lie to collapse at last. Lavis flashes that manic grin, dragging Brother Rabus' bargain into view, and the masked authority spells out the new body. Like that makes it tasteful, while Minho drinks in the Bloodstone's gift, smirking through the wreckage, because the whole setup was just a leash, now snapped wide open. Then the loud magenta brat starts screeching, exposing how fragile the trash really is, as the chained, purple-haired fool gets slammed for underestimating the monster, and the fragile, dark-haired girl still stands there, bloodied, watched, and strangely composed, while the demon pressure spikes harder, flattening the room into panic and white noise. Then Minho hangs there untouched, with every smug onlooker suddenly looking edible, and the final taunt lands, because the family's little gift just became a murder promise. The demon-blooded girl grins through the crush, raising death like it's a toy, and the room answers with purple violence, as Minho breaks the leash wide open, while Lavis tears into him, calling out the so-called demon prince nonsense, and she slams the whole romance angle, because that girl isn't even his real sister, yet Minho just smiles, claiming that Cake was never human in the first place. Then he devours the gift anyway, acting disgustingly calm while power floods in, so the purple-haired loudmouth finally panics. Shocked his bluff got folded instantly, and Minho keeps talking about Cake, saying his little sister's taste was heavenly, which sends the chained fool into a meltdown, shrieking at the demon's nonsense, until Minho lands the final insult, because apparently the family never shared Cake. The purple-haired fool explodes, demanding the gift hit that bastard instead, and Minho just smirks, letting the purple power answer for him, while Lavis gets carved by the backlash, still staring like a menace, because Minho's red eye says everything. And the guy loves this. Then that smug mouth twists, savoring the chaos like sweet dessert, leaving Jin Jae-hee wide-eyed, realizing his bluff folded instantly, before a tiny kid interrupts, bragging to mom about a perfect score, which only earns him a furious lecture and a filthy little insult. Then the scene cuts to the doorway, where uselessness gets roasted, and the whole room ends on awkward silence, mop in hand. Studying and cleaning were the entire battlefield, and this kid still scored chaos, while mom's praise stayed locked behind that cruel little house rule. Naturally, then the scene snapped to Cafe Lala, where the gossip machine got fed, and the trash talk hit first, with one woman roasting another's fake smile, before the mom's gripe surfaced, blaming the brats for every unwanted attention. Her silence afterwards said plenty, because the insult landed cleaner than the mop. Then the girl turned toward her, strolling over with that creepy, calm smile. And the next second, a slap of movement ruined the smug little pose, sending her screeching while the child's hands found the perfect revenge, right when everyone else froze, shocked that even cleaning could burn this hard. Inside Cafe Lala, the first disaster is clothes, and pure annoyance, so the blonde mom barrels in, calling the kids along. No mercy, with one arm around each child, she marches them through the cafe, then leans close with that smug grin, like parenting is a flex, and the little girl gets showered with praise, stunned by mom's approval, while she glows over it, acting innocent, as if this wasn't blatant favoritism. The boy gets jealous, begging for next time, desperate for his own crown, because apparently, bully someone her mom dislikes and you get praised, hit someone her mom hates, and the victim is just collateral damage. That's the whole family code, and somehow she thinks it sounds sweet. In that cramped alley, mom's favorite kid is already being openly crowned, while the bloodied blade just hangs there, proving praise and violence share one family budget. Then the quiet child answers like a model daughter, because obedience is apparently her superpower, and mom absolutely milks it, calling that obedient little menace her perfect child. Lovely work. The other kid immediately wants in on the scam, begging for his own chance at glory, since apparently the rule is simple: win mom's approval, and murder becomes a family value. The favored girl leans into it, smugly accepting the attention, like this chaos is wholesome, while the adult proudly announces she raised these children right, which is hilarious in a criminal way. The boy starts spiraling, screaming for permission to kill first, because jealousy loves a crowd, and the whole scene ends with their twisted family code turning murder into a birthday party. The orange-haired zealot keeps shrieking for murder, and wow, subtlety died instantly, while Minho just mocks the panic, because apparently bloodshed is his new hobby. Then the room gets a brutal reality check, and the demon label stops being metaphorical, as Lavis openly admits she recognizes the worth of killing with her own hands. Minho's eyes twist the whole mood colder, and suddenly even she looks rattled, because whatever she's seeing in him now is definitely not normal human behavior. The battlefield turns into a showcase, with a ferocious beast finally answering the call, and that smug purple-haired idiot gets his arm wrecked for talking too much, while Minho keeps pressing the sibling angle, grinning like this mess is too easy, so the bleeding brat blames Han-young, proving cowardice always needs a scapegoat. The black-haired girl finally snaps, and the room answers with purple menace, while the purple-haired brat starts screaming for murder, proving bravery was never his hobby. Then Minho casually crosses the line, making demon blood look embarrassingly human, and even the cocky girl freezes, because that grin says she's no longer winning, as the purple-haired idiot gets folded for running his mouth, like a tutorial boss. Minho keeps the pressure brutal, dragging the fight into a full-body execution showcase, so the screaming coward collapses into blood and regret, which is honestly overdue, while the attacker keeps choking on pain, discovering consequences are very real, and the last pathetic plea for mom just makes the whole scene nastier, before the final insult lands, calling him useless right to the end. Minho cuts straight through the drama, making demon blood look painfully human, and the cocky heirs panic, because that grin means nobody's winning anymore. Jin Jae-hee gets folded for his mouth, then starts begging like a clown. Minho keeps pressure brutal, turning this into an execution instead of a fight. The coward bleeds regret fast, while the room learns consequences have teeth. Even the attacker's last mom plea lands embarrassing, not tragic, just pathetic. Meanwhile, Lavis finally flinches, realizing Minho's danger is now the real deal. Minho admits he cannot waste time, because Mara's body is slipping away. So he gambles everything, grabbing the opening before the monster fully returns. Then he surges again, dragging the struggle into one last desperate clash. Minho crashes through the opening, and the room's confidence starts leaking instantly, because Yura's face says everything: pain, shock, and a very bad morning, while Jin Jae-hee finally discovers courage only exists after consequences arrive, and Minho keeps clamping down, turning this messy tantrum into a slaughter, which leaves the orange-haired girl staring like her whole ego got mugged, as Seong-jun and the bodyguards hover behind Yuri, pretending this is civilized, but the poor girl collapses anyway, and dignity exits the scene first. Then the truth drops. Minho can keep absorbing blood until the body breaks, so he surges forward again, absolutely done with holding back for anyone, and the orange-haired brat panics, because suddenly she's next, not special. Minho's purple-black power tears through the room, turning arrogance into confetti, and the orange-haired girl finally realizes her big mouth bought her a nightmare, because his body is cracking under the strain. Yet he still keeps advancing, like a lunatic who heard you'll die and took it as motivation, Then he grabs her by the throat with a grin that screams, pure disaster, while her panic goes from outrage to full-body regret in one ugly second. The next strike sends bodies spinning, and his hunger for punishment gets louder, so her desperate screaming about ruining everything lands beautifully and uselessly, because he folds her down without mercy, all red-eyed menace and contempt, while even the room itself looks ready to admit she was never special. The room tilts under Lavis' panic, and her bravado starts cracking fast, while Minho coolly announces her lifeline's been cut, like it's nothing, so she spirals into disbelief, screaming that even dying to him is humiliating, but he answers with that nasty, final warning energy, making Minha the leverage now, and her shock is priceless when he casually offers survival, not mercy, because the demon mist crowns him as Minho's true name. Rabis Vindica. Then Lavis realizes hell's self-destruct before leaving this body. How charming. And still she grins through the terror, betting bloodline pride can save her, only to get pinned again as he orders the sword dropped, completely unbothered, and she folds instantly, obeying now because bold talk died, the second power entered. Blood sprays from the blade, and the whole room gets instantly quieter, because even the hand can't pretend this is bluffing anymore. Then Seongjun's cold order lands, dragging the hidden coward out, and Lavis, already crumbling, finally folds under the pressure. Her grin says bravado. But the terror underneath is louder, until the demon burst forces her into a full-on meltdown, while Minho just smirks like this was always his stage, and the black mass twists that arm into something grotesque, leaving Jin Jae-hee wide-eyed, suddenly regretting every smug decision, because that is not a human arm, and he knows it. So Seongjun smugly nails the black seat's angle, and that's rude, because Lavis instantly short-circuits, all demon pride and zero stability now. Then she starts screaming about betrayal, honor, and the usual villain tears, while Minho just grins through the chaos, like this disaster is entertainment, and Lavis finally admits she can't leave, because survival beat dignity, which earns her a deliciously cold roasting from Minho. No mercy at all. Nearby, the brown-haired girl freezes as the fight turns uglier fast, and whatever composure she had left drains away with that quiet, awful stare. Then the grabbed arm becomes pure nightmare fuel, and everyone finally panics, because now Lavis is begging for her life. And wow, what a collapse. Lavis finally cracks, begging hard, and that smug demon act evaporates. The blade keeps climbing, all sleek menace and zero mercy, just to prove the point. Minho stays cold-blooded up front, while the room's tension gets absolutely stupid. Then the taunts turn savage, because begging now somehow became embarrassing for everyone. The brown-haired girl freezes as the violence spikes, her calm finally starting to rot. Minho's eye widens a fraction, like even he noticed the fight getting uglier. Lavis gets answered with blood and blame, right after her big praise routine. Jin Jae-hee collapses into full coward mode, suddenly begging for his own life. The brown-haired girl takes another hit, and that last bit of composure vanishes. By the end, bodies hit the floor, and the whole mess looks hilariously finished. Lavis gets absolutely wrecked, shrieking after Minho's cold little leash snap, and Minho just keeps that demon-eyed stare, mocking her mom obsession like trash, while Yuri stays trapped in the middle. As the room turns feral around her, Lavis doubles down on the sister act, ranting about old kindness and shared history, but the blue-haired girl gets roasted harder, with her selfish mother routine exposed, and Jin Jae-hee finally caves, begging like a clown who just noticed the blade. Lavis snaps again, realizing the humiliation is landing far deeper than pain, because Minho labels her a black seat disgrace, then keeps the pressure crushing, until Lavis hits the floor, choking under the force she thought she controlled, and the whole scene ends with Rabis Vindica turning into pure humiliation. Lavis Vindica's pride is still choking on that cursed bargain, and she knows it. The demon-faced thing only makes her fury uglier, because humiliation loves an audience. Minho's boot lands like a verdict, turning her resistance into sludge. Jin Jae-hee finally panics, and that smug act evaporates into pure begging. Minho barely reacts, which is worse, because his silence says she's already beaten. Lavis claws for control, but the pressure keeps grinding her down anyway. Her posture folds, and the floor gets her before her arrogance can recover. Even the room's chaos feels embarrassed for her, now that the bluff is dead. Minho keeps that cold red stare, making the black seat disgrace look microscopic. And just like that, Lavis Vindica turns from menace into public humiliation. Minho closes the book on chaos, red eyes blazing with finality, while Lavis hails him like a lord, still refusing to look weak, but her demon pressure keeps leaking out, dragging her pride through the tiles. Then he lifts one hand, and the room instantly remembers who owns it, before the smug cleanup turns surgical, all restraint and zero mercy, because even his disgust sounds like a verdict on their pathetic mess. And Lavis keeps talking up Lord Rabus, practically begging history to save her, only for the dead twins below to turn that whole family fantasy rotten. So Minho shrugs it off with a brutal maybe, as if fate itself is a joke, and the orange-haired girl seals it with the obvious truth parents can still ruin everything. A filthy lesson in parental greed hangs over the room, and nobody laughs, while the blue-haired horned girl peeks out, smug even through the restraint. Then the suit-clad tyrant finally moves, and the whole place remembers fear, because the horned boy is already past mercy, sending the coward scrambling behind the pillar, where panic looks embarrassing on him. Honestly tragic, and the blue-haired demon keeps pushing, forcing the exit before Pride can recover. When he spots her again, the room snaps awake, because hiding is over, and suddenly Beltia gets named. The demon realm prodigy, nobody wanted nearby, with House Murtano's spoiled legend dragged out, and everyone acting shocked. So Minho just glowers, wondering why this clown followed him here. And just like that, the little demon queen announces Bombay's exit, dramatic as ever. The window erupts with motion, because subtlety clearly died here too. Meanwhile, the blue-haired horned girl gets branded, the shameless stalker, which is rich, and the smug suit boy answers like a prince of bad decisions, already annoyed. Then the spotlight slams onto the demon realm prodigy, Beltia, alongside Jin Jae-hee's panic, as Bambi gets cursed for everything. While Minho looks like this circus bored him, Lavis can't even hide her outrage. Spluttering at the insult like restraint is optional, but Jin Jae-hee, coward of the century, immediately asks how long this punishment lasts. Of course the answer is forever, because apparently demon cruelty loves overkill, and then everyone starts bragging about Rabus blood power, as if that helps. The horned girl mocks Mara's misery, and the room smugly keeps score, while her sisterly jab lands harder than the table's polished demon decor, because Mara's execution supposedly solved everything. Yet the human world still bites, and Lavis calmly sips that rare House Reutes tea like a menace, then shuts down Varkan's whining, pretending this circus has standards somehow, as Minho gets praised for awakening Rabus' true power, casually devastating everyone, leaving Banbi and Gamadare caught in the blame storm, which is adorable, while Mara narrows her eyes and asks what the trio is plotting, and the so-called Great Demon King immediately panics, proving the title is decorative, until Lavis reveals the Bloodstone plan in Rabus' body, without Gamadare knowing. That single crimson eye finally twitches, and the bluff starts collapsing. The demon princess hears the unthinkable, Rabus being used to catch Morgath. Now the magenta brat loses it, while Lavis stays brutally unimpressed. Their bickering turns feral, because family drama apparently includes threats and tantrums. The blonde strategist cuts in, mocking sibling violence like it is ancient tradition. He keeps sipping tea, because obviously apocalypse chatter pairs nicely with manners. Then the real name lands, Morgath, the demon god of the end. The room freezes under that legend, while even death starts sounding organized. Worlds stack up behind him, celestial, demon, human, all marked for collapse, and Minho just watches, promising Rabus will arrive, so wait longer. Seongjun looms over the wreckage, cool as ever while Minho stays unreadable, and Minha lies there looking way too calm for a dorm room disaster. Then Minho drops his name, repaid debt and all. Like that explains anything, except the collapsed room says otherwise, because nobody schedules a kid emergency. With adults, bodyguards, and panic pouring in around Minha's injured mess, Seongjun starts losing his mind, accusing Minho of stealing a superstar body, while the frantic woman blames everyone for opposing Minha's idle dreams, and the smug lecture keeps coming, about online praise and hidden jealousy, so the command turns cruel, ordering photos of Minha to weaponize sympathy, because apparently humiliation now comes with marketing, and this guy loves the show. Seongjan's glare hardens, because this bastard clearly forgot his place, and Minho just drifts closer, cool enough to make outrage look silly. While the room explodes as someone begs them to stop this child abuse, Seongjun snaps back in shock, suddenly realizing the kid sees everything. Then the accusations land hard, exposing the fortune theft and family rot, and the mother finally breaks, screaming that Minha is being used too, but the father's smug history only makes him sound more pathetic, until the shouting turns feral, with every ugly sin dragged into daylight, leaving Seongjun frozen in silence, like even he ran out of excuses, because every word from that man reeks, and everybody knows it. Minho stands in purple menace, talking bones like spare change, and that smug father finally gets hissed at as trash. Wow, shocking. Seongjun loses his cool, staring as the kid exposes everything, because the mother swears she won't let those children lose him twice. The would-be patriarch chokes on his own outrage, looking painfully pathetic, while she spits back that he's no mayor, just a hypocrite in cuffs. Then comes the threat swap, and he promises to become her leash, but Minho only reads him as weak, not worth the effort. Lavis' demonic shadow reminds him of his mother, and he hardens, leaving the purple-haired fool stammering, while the whole room knows he's finished. The control room erupts in a scream, and Seongjun instantly starts unraveling, while the launch site blazes in the distance, looking way too civilized for doom. Inside the monitor room, the hooded woman toys with every button like a bored villain, and the armed fool beside her panics, begging her to spare the launch button. She ignores the meltdown, because apparently civilian deaths are just inconvenient footnotes. Then the cursed fingertip keeps hovering, and the room goes dead quiet. Because yes, that button is exactly what she built the whole disaster for, triggering the red warning panel as the system screams missile launch sequence, and the tough guy finally cracks, barking helplessly as panic eats his pride, until the hooded demon answers with one word, and the man looks finished. Lavis cuts the mercy deal, then casually pins the blame on Morgath. Above the city, that warning ripples out like a smug little omen. Downtown, the traffic lights freeze while civilians keep wandering blind. Even the so-called family stays stunned, clutching the kid they're exploiting. Then the blast tears open everything, turning the careful plan into rubble. Inside control, the panicked fool starts sweating through his expensive posture. Lavis answers with obedience, ordering Shua to bring the fragment, but the system's launch sequence is already roaring, and what a waste. Still, she finds the fragment with one finger, like this was nothing. Outside, the neighborhood gossip shifts to divorce, because adults are ridiculous. The cafe gossip opens with divorce drama, and nobody looks proud, because Lim Sion is being told money outranks common sense here, so the black-haired bastard dumps the problem onto him, like charity, then smugly calls him the smartest human, which is hilarious, considering Hez still trapped, while another hand covers his mouth, and everyone's getting fed this frozen Emerciano hostage routine. How classy, until the pink mascot crashes in, making the whole scene ridiculous, while the black-haired speaker orders Beltia back to the demon realm, but Lim Sion can barely keep up, because she won't even look, and that's when Beltia gets named, ending the mystery with style. The pink mascot barges in, acting adorably dramatic for maximum chaos. Then the demon-born tale starts, dragging everyone back to the womb. That birth became a furnace, and the whole room got cooked alive. The great demon king's flame was supposedly the guide. How convenient. So the poor victim just burned, and the world turned red instantly. Meanwhile, the masterpiece is declared complete, because subtlety died here. Now Cositus appears, swallowing false oaths and punishing traitors. Then comes the artsy nonsense, Pain recast as glorious demonic craft. And just like that, Beltia gets named, the mystery finally collapsing. Count Valdir keeps boasting, because apparently humble family meetings are extinct. The blue-haired horned girl stands there, and the room already calls her unrivaled. Meanwhile, Count Valdir huffs over Beltia, complaining like a tired royal headache. Lavis answers the king's praise with calm grace, swallowing the pressure beautifully. Then the family starts bragging about demon realm weapons, because humility apparently died here. The whole mess cuts to a cathedral-like stronghold, all grandeur and threat. In that red carpet corridor, Beltia gets pointed out as the prize genius. She just smirks, while Lavis keeps the deal alive with dangerous composure. The center then gets squeezed for loyalty, and even her protest sounds tiny. Soon the adults start whining about bloodshed and mercy, as if morals matter now. But the demon child's answer is pure menace, because mercy never got invited. Mercy is dead here, as the demon brat vows revenge anyway, and that's when Lavis first enters the story, all calm menace, staring down the memory of how she first met Rabis, before the scene drifts to that cathedral fortress, dripping with status, where Beltia is finally unveiled as Father's so-called masterpiece, because apparently forging weapons with alchemy counts as elite family talent, and the jealous trainee screams about Beltia getting all the glory, while the others brag about devouring demonic fruits like that proves dignity. Then the apology tour starts, except nobody here is remotely sorry, just more petty excuses, and more smugness from the wrong people. Inside this demon house bargain, Lavis listens while the adults sell fairness with a straight face, and the short-horned brat throws a fit, furious that one lunch got reallocated, but Lavis stays icy, handing over permission like the room already belongs to her, while the orange-haired matriarch cuddles the favorite and complains the count never brings her properly. Then Lavis remembers Father's promise, that leaving this cage only needed rank, so she dreams bigger, sending the family to the great demon king's castle, and the mention of Prince Ravis lights her up, all blush and secret pride, because the casting rooms, stories, maid, gossip, and polished weapons all shaped her, Plus, every petty friendship, jealous glare, and shared love story made survival feel real, so she sits there, quietly glowing, like this whole warped romance finally chose her. Born in the foundry, she spent years sealed inside molten demon craft. Then her alchemy knowledge stacked up, and her power got ridiculous. Of course, control evaporated next, because power without discipline always gets loud. Even the side characters panic. Screaming her name like that fixes anything. The demon girl lunges, hands out, and immediately regrets existing near that heat. A purple blast swallows everything, and her voice turns into pure terror. Bones and smoke get shredded apart, like the furnace just ate them alive. One shocked eye says it all, because nobody expected this level of insanity. She keeps roaring through the blaze, proving pain only made her worse. Time drags on, and the fire only grows meaner, fatter, and fiercer. Lavis stands in the forge haze, calmly flexing demon blood and trace reading, while the whole castle screams, because weak power just embarrassed itself again, and Seongjun's people watch the foundry disaster spread like bad family gossip, as he smugly declares the girl the flame itself, which is absurdly on brand. Yuri, bloodied and cornered, finally asks to leave, sounding more tired than scared, but the horned man snaps back, panicking over her escape like a fake parent, then rattles off his family's black seat rise, as if status fixes cruelty, only for Lavis to stare back and threaten never going out, never, while two glowing figures stand behind her, making the refusal feel terrifyingly final, and the smug demon face in the dark says this mess is far from over. Her fists clamp down on the purple body, like the deal itself, tightening. Then the spotlight swallows her whole, and suddenly she's utterly alone. Years later, the sky remembers only rain, trace, and loneliness. Decades pass, leaving scraps, orders, and dead evidence of living things. Her memories burn off like metal slag, while pink power keeps rising. Even her reason for existing starts fading in that furnace glow. Above the rooftops, rain hammers down as the disaster keeps spreading. And this lunatic chase leaves everyone soaked, furious, and whining. The Demon King obsession grows next, with fatherly permission still denied. So the alchemist rumor drops in, and the mad experiment begins. Inside the demon workshop, Beltia casually demands the perfect sword, absurdly picky already, then shrugs off rumors, while the genius alchemist name still hangs unconfirmed, and her smug teasing lands on Rabas, who gets mocked as the obvious exception, because Hez already sweating through the room, surrounded by clutter and overheated nonsense. Then the truth finally drops. She is Prince Rabas, sought after alchemist, and she doesn't just guess. She practically announces House Murtano like a flex, as Beltia leans in, daring them to look, with zero shame and maximum ego, while the black-cloaked boy panics, asking who she even is and how long she's been there, and she answers with full demon nobility swagger, claiming Rabas called her over, but the moment he hears his name shouted, he decides escape is already overdue. Beltia finally names herself, standing there like the demon realm's next big problem. And the rumor mill instantly heats up, because apparently she terrifies demons for sport, while everyone realizes that little kid is really the infamous alchemist, and the smug chatter keeps shrinking her into a cute rumor, which is honestly embarrassing, right up until she snaps back, proving she's no harmless fairy tale, then locks eyes like she's just heard the funniest insult in the room, making the whole lovely person nonsense hit her ego like a royal reward, while Minho casually asks for a sword, as if this circus were a workshop, and Beltia goes dead serious, saying she needs his soul to finish the metalwork, which sends Rabas into full panic, because suddenly he's the one getting cooked. Now the demon girl demands his soul, power, and path. Like that's a cute little request, and Lavis stares back, saying she'll keep watching, because subtlety died ages ago. Then she praises Rabas as the first one to ever look lovely. So naturally, she decides to burn all her knowledge just to forge him a sword, and from that day on, she marches out of the foundry on her own feet. All her fear gets bulldozed away, because this nonsense is apparently for Rabas alone. Elsewhere, Minho grabs a blade and turns the forest into a war rehearsal, while Lavis peers from cover, calmly insisting she can see the truth. One look at Rabas' face, and she's obsessed with that ridiculous jawline. So yes, the whole disaster boils down to one very sexy chin. That collarbone looks criminally hollow, and she's instantly obsessed, because this demon girl spots Rabas and loses all dignity. After watching his soul for ages, she starts acting like a stalker, then decides only his perfect jawline deserves a custom blade, so she pours every scrap of knowledge into one flawless sword, and naturally names it the Damra blade, because subtlety died years ago. The finished weapon gets her glowing, like she personally invented destiny, while the tower scene shifts, and everyone else keeps living in his shadow. Suddenly she's sprinting back, panicking over how to hand it over, and the whole disaster boils down to one ridiculous 100-year crush. Deep in the workshop, Lavis panics that her brother came here himself, then spirals harder, fearing the blade might somehow disappoint him, because saying Beltius' name barely calms that fangirl-level anxiety, while Minho waits like tomorrow's massacre is just another errand, and Lavis practically worships the sword, begging approval with embarrassing devotion. Convinced hell either adore it or scold her into a puddle, she finally arrives, brandishing the finished weapon like a sacred trophy, only for Minho to shrug that it was already complete anyway, which sends her into full meltdown, insisting she truly delivered it, and now she's trapped, realizing his silence is somehow the real punishment. Beltius' approval lands hard, and Lavis melts into ridiculous, desperate pride, because the sword's balance is flawless, totally accepting her magic without complaint. Meanwhile, the tiny horned girl stammers over its name, already losing the emotional war, and Minho casually crowns it, Dammer Sword, like naming legends is errands, which sends Lavis into a full-blown gratitude tantrum, worshipping Beltia's genius. Then Beltia toys with her nerves, warning that the praise will haunt her forever, and Lavis, already doomed, realizes Minho's gaze is the only thing left, so she practically screams that hell look only at her for life, except the cursed little fire-charged child has now become a flaming devotion bomb, and Minho, of course, just stands there, looking like tomorrow's massacre is routine. Lavis reaches peak clown devotion, swearing eternal exclusivity, and the aura gets ridiculous. Then she panics over harming Minho, because apparently the fire has standards. Her flames twist into a protective tantrum, sealing this obsession like a curse. Cut to the cafe, where the boys debate Minho's past with surgical smugness. Beltia gets singled out, and naturally the awkward comparison hits her like a truck. The pink-haired girl overloads, admitting that staying near her brother is embarrassing, yet inevitable. Minho cuts through the nonsense, demanding the question already. Like this is routine. The cursed gun backfires, and the gray-haired kid starts glitching with excitement. Panic turns physical fast, with sweating, blurred vision, and a heart that won't chill. Beltia recognizes the symptom instantly, because yep, that's definitely a crush. Street immediately starts spiraling, half-convinced magic is hijacking his brain, but Lavis snaps back that it's panic, then mocks him for split personality, drama, while Seongjun smugly reframes the symptoms as ordinary anxiety, because that's adorable, and Minho shuts the nonsense down by explaining his body is syncing with demon power, which only makes Seongjun lean in harder, joking that self-doubt is Street's favorite hobby. Then Lavis drops the real lecture. Every soul carries unique energy, so Minho gets the full demon aura manifesto, from celestials to humans to demons, and if the body holding that energy disappears, the remaining soul goes with it, meaning Street can apparently see the buyer's soul and its weapon appetite, which is unsettling, while Lavis declares she can forge the perfect weapon for that soul. Lavis coolly admits the weapon only fits the buyer's soul, not the whole universe. Street instantly panics, wondering if the cursed gun matched his split personality. Minho confirms a second personality surfaced, and Lavis forged for that exact energy. Street collapses into denial, embarrassed that his hidden self sounded so dramatic. Beltia gets dragged into the spotlight, and Minho roasts her rare confidence. She snaps, insisting she only stayed longer because the weapon matched her real face. Seongjun and the others bait the demon girl, smugly shooing her back to hell. The pink mascot screams loyalty like a tiny lunatic, clinging to brother forever. Then it sprints off in full meltdown mode, as if feelings are now artillery. Minho and Seongjun stare after, quote, like thatty, absolutely disgusted by the romance nonsense. The room is already boiling when Minho pins the blame on Bamb, and Street absolutely loses his mind, shrieking like a cornered clown. Because now the purple aura is tearing open a smug little entrance, and Beltia strolls in acting iconic, only to get instantly dragged, while the green-haired nuisance questions why she even bothered showing up, and Beltia's ego cracks as she insists she just stayed for real face. Then the mascot goes full feral, declaring loyalty like a tiny lunatic, as Seongjun and Minho roast the whole friendship circus without mercy, while the demon kid doubles down, bragging that the bloodstone was bait, and Minho ends it by mocking his nonsense like thinking deeply is optional. The smug rant starts collapsing fast, as the green-haired nuisance gets checked hard, and the explanation slams in that Morgus was sealed in the human world long ago, which is exactly when the hooded demon presence rises behind him. All purple menace? So the black-haired boy finally panics, realizing this isn't gossip, it's catastrophe, because the title, Reverse Creation of Sir Kyle, means Morgus is trying apocalypse, and suddenly the chandelier-rattling mansion feels like a joke waiting to be buried. While the slot machine chaos outside shows everyone losing luck, dignity, and money. Then the green-haired loudmouth fumes over another miss. Like that changed anything? But the corpse-like supplier explodes in rage, demanding his money after 3 miserable days, and even the hooded monster has to be begged to calm down, which is hilarious. In this cursed gambling corner, the hooded donor quietly offers mercy and nonsense, while the reels keep spinning like the house itself is mocking everyone. Then the green-haired jackpot addict loses again and absolutely cannot cope, just as the black-clad authority leans in, making the whole room sound official, and of course the machine still spits out a near win. Because irony loves him, so the brat throws a tantrum loud enough to shame the wallpaper, haha, until the hooded presence behind him coolly drops a prisoner-grade revelation, announcing Robbie's has appeared in the human world as a prisoner, which instantly turns this lucky little circus into a very expensive disaster. The jackpot addict keeps losing, and the room already smells like humiliation. Then the machine erupts, turning his bragging into a flaming punchline instantly. While the whole casino panics, he's left begging for help like a clown, and the adults rush in. Because apparently even bad luck needs supervision, the green-haired loser still demands answers. Until the hooded boss cuts in, then comes the name drop. Rebus is imprisoned in the human world, which makes the smug blue-haired witness and the hooded menace look terrifyingly calm, and the fool finally repeats the message like it's a victory. Hilarious. While the city outside sits there glowing, completely unaware of the mess. The blonde smugger realizes his family's scheme dragged him into Morgus trouble, and the black-haired brat snaps that he's just a locked-up weakling bait. While the blonde one casually explains Morgus has been imprisoned for centuries, then the purple nightmare is revealed as a demon-human hybrid makeover. Wow, meaning Minho can wield both powers. And yes, the cursed Bloodstone plan was real, so the smug blonde pats himself for being smart, humiliating the nervous boy, until the black-haired kid demands why he got singled out as the savior, and the answer lands brutal. Demon. World politics framed Minho as a prisoner, so now has furious, and the secret should have been obvious earlier. The smug blonde starts unpacking the disaster, acting annoyingly calm, and the black-haired brat fires back, mocking the whole Morgus hostage setup. Then the explanation gets worse fast, because Demon World War politics are involved, which means this Bloodstone experiment was never a joke, just premium-level stupidity. The skeptic keeps glaring, still refusing to buy the prison test subject nonsense, until the blonde basically pats himself for helping, which is rude and hilarious. Then the real punch lands, because Minho is apparently the only viable weapon, and the nervous boy finally loses it over being expected to kill Morgus. Right on cue, Beltia gets dragged in as reinforcements, and the blonde gets cocky. The black-haired brat explodes, mocking the whole hostage circus, and the blonde clown doubles down, laughing like panic is a hobby, until the room turns vicious, because demon politics are apparently on the menu, and he finally gets named Rebus, which instantly wrecks his smug little face, while the gray-haired witness realizes this joke has become a death sentence, as the black-haired lead panics about Beltia being reinforcements, ridiculous timing, and the blonde smugly explains she was always the safer sidekick, which only makes the lead stare harder, suddenly understanding the family name, because Murtano lands like a guillotine, and he knows he's cooked. Purple demon sigils erupt over the table, turning the whole room into a cursed invitation. Lim Sion stares blankly at it, because obviously this keeps getting worse. A glowing seal rises from the paper, and the jester-faced curse starts laughing. Then the message lands: whoever tests fate gets invited, courtesy of Namuja. The blonde idiot finally recognizes the name, panicking about the escaped prisoner. The authority figure coolly acts unfazed. While the messenger already looks expendable, Lim Sion is ordered to press once, and his fingers hover over doom. The black-haired student screams for him to stop, which is adorable and useless. But Lim Sion presses anyway, and the seal immediately bites back. The seal detonates in purple fury, and the little room finally screams, turning the whole school into a casino-sized nightmare with zero mercy. Seongjun stays ice-cold, because apparently panic is for amateurs, while the blonde idiot realizes this place swallows lives for fun. Jin Jae-hee starts yelping about the press mistake, and Lim Sion, already drowning in regret, can only stare at Minho's terrifying answer. The black-haired student freaks out over the danger, which is rich, since everyone's standing in a gambling hall where losing is life, and the warning lands hard, one chip away from total collapse. High above the school, even the vent cover feels like a witness, because this so-called human warden has been smugly policing demons all along, until meeting Lord Rebus exposes just how badly her control slips, and now she admits the prisoners slipped her grasp, which is adorable, while the black-haired authority keeps demanding proof like a bored tyrant, and the cat-eared warden mocks his human world swagger, refusing his leash, The suit-clad man bristles, but the demon side keeps calling his bluff, so he snaps for evidence, as if paperwork can bully supernatural panic. Then the school erupts with a report that the polls have flipped, and suddenly everyone realizes this disaster just changed owners. Poll results flip hard, and the blue bar loses to Jung Tae-sik. That worker death excuse hits public approval like a brick wall. The suit crowd starts sweating as the whole deal implodes spectacularly. Even Seongjun has to swallow a quiet apology, because Manhwa carried them. The authority man just stares, realizing his leverage has gone completely stale. Now he talks cleanup and damage control, as if disaster needs paperwork. Outside, the city buzzes like the scandal just got a new owner. Then he pivots straight into the Unshin Station transfer site deal. He sells it like charity, claiming no compensation is needed between allies. But that smile says he wants sympathy votes, and he wants them now. The business tower is sealing a deal, and President Hong sounds way too casual, while Seongjun nods like this gangster upgrade was somehow expected. Naturally, then Secretary Kim reports Minha's mother already rushed her to the hospital, so Seongjun instantly pivots to clean up, forwarding their location to President Hong. But down in the vents, the absurd cat mascot senses danger and panics, because Lady Manhwa and her mother are exposed, and the whole city feels it. The skyline hangs under a hot, charged night, like disaster got promoted, and somewhere nearby, an exhausted Smith complains about the heat, charmingly useless, until Beltia finally appears, leaving the glasses kid staring like his soul left. Then the black-haired demon girl erupts, cursing Bambe as the nightmare deepens. The smug glasses boy cornered Lavis, and instantly regretted it, because she roasted his poverty, his job, and his survival choices. Then the rumor circus exploded, with strangers blaming the blue-haired demon girl, while she clawed at her own face, furious at being dragged along, and the idiot in glasses admitted the crypto wallet had been her dying request, which only made her mock his ignorance harder, because human world greed is hilarious, until she suddenly softened, praising his dream like she actually meant it. Then she told the tattooed girl to chase herself, not her family, and the demon girl froze, hearing something nobody else ever bothered to say, because for once, the answer was terrifyingly simple: herself. The smug negotiator sets the bargain stage, promising freedom with a creepy grin, but the black-haired demon girl answers with silent, venomous disbelief and wounded pride. Then that little pink mascot becomes the whole mood. Staring like chaos is adorable, while her fury spikes, because being treated like property is apparently still fashionable, and now she's practically vibrating with rage, eyes wild, aura snapping around her, until he somehow calls her struggle a dream, like nearly dying was a cute side quest, which earns him a hilarious body check. Since apologizing after the fact changes nothing, she keeps him folded anyway, completely unimpressed by his limp, rich boy suffering, and when he finally crawls up, she's already holding the leash of the entire moment, because the real shock is simple. The demon girl was never his problem to own. The blue-haired demon girl cuts straight to her ruined body, still smug enough to mock the aftermath. The blonde glasses guy goes dead quiet, which is rich considering his bravado just got folded. He admits the damage was total, completely crushed right down to the fingertips. Then she drops the sympathy act, muttering that it probably hurt, though she never cared. And when he calls it better burned, she basically shrugs, saying pain is his specialty. That's when the name Beltia finally lands, and the whole room tightens. Lavis explodes over Lord Bam's sudden appearance, dragging Jin Jae-hee into the panic. Behind them, the pink mascot just sits there, making chaos look weirdly adorable. Then the hidden camera accusation hits, and the blonde guy instantly starts flailing for context. She snaps back with the real reason, exposing the Young family's dirty little scheme. The room is already rotting with rumors, and she mocks the widow theory. Then the blonde idiot panics, painting the Young family as a murder circus. Lavis snarls that Rabis is nearby, while the blue-haired girl demands urgency. The blonde man spots the trace, and realizes Rabis has vanished again. Lavis orders him to find the mother, and he points toward Minna's hospital. Minho drags Beltia along, because apparently, even disasters need accessories. Inside the casino glow, Rabis gets greeted like a reunion, nobody wanted. Then the criminal prince label lands, and the cowardly witness shrinks instantly. The demon answer gets worse, because the noble boy is openly devouring power by the slot machines, dignity's dead, and everyone can see it. Green-haired clown mockingly sizes up the high schooler, already regretting the joke. Seongjun answers with prison-level contempt, because humiliation clearly wasn't enough. Lavis snaps about Rabis using demon power in human form. While chaos peaks, Seongjun's glare hardens, and the entire room starts treating him like a verdict. Rabis grins from the casino pit, promising this time will be uglier. Naturally. The green-haired gambler instantly panics, because jackpot luck never survives that sentence. A single strike snaps through the air, and his confidence shatters with it. Then the demon-faced menace asks to keep betting, like disaster is a hobby. Cold eyes lock in from the side, as everyone realizes he's the real executioner. Namuja was never a joke, just a criminal eraser with a knife and a grudge. Even vicious demons who resisted execution still folded before Namuja, while Bezra Kuronai got chained up, charged, and publicly humiliated like spare trash. Then Lavis dragged the demon law charge sheet into the air, grinning through the verdict, as the purple-haired fool panicked and begged, realizing mercy was already gone, because the chains kept shredding apart, and the emergency finally turned real, with Lavis screaming over the collapsing deal, calling herself his life's theft, while the executioner closed in, scarf blazing, and the room lost its nerve. Then the strike landed, and Namuja answered with brutal, emotionless precision, leaving everyone staring at that cold face, understanding he felt absolutely nothing. That was the whole trick, because emotionless execution made him terrifyingly unbeatable. Gambling infected the room, turning life into a stupid little probability machine. Namuja then selected the judged, like death was just another rigged table. The blue-haired demon keeps grinning, offering survival only if luck flatters her. That arrogant logic built a massacre, because power always pretends it's a game. So the chained fool panics first, wagering his life like a bargain bin genius. Yuri buckles under the pressure, while the demon's presence crushes her flatter. Then the dice drop, and even the floor starts feeling cursed. Lavis smugly dares the others, acting like she owns the verdict itself. But the execution lands clean, and her confidence finally starts bleeding out. Now everyone gets it. Emotionless judgment is way scarier than rage. That purple demon grin says the house already rigged the universe, and the dice answer with one last cruel little miracle, as the battered cubes tumble, turning survival into a joke, while Lavis stares down Yuri, absolutely savage and unbothered. Then the odds miss by one, and everybody breathes wrong, because the chained fool gets spared, and instantly melts into gratitude. Thanks to luck, the demon mocks, like mercy was her hobby, yet the real horror is the rule behind the gamble. One loss means release. One win means a smiling execution, and now even powerless kids are getting dragged into gambling. Inside the demon tribunal, even the charge sheet sounds insanely overkill and embarrassing. Lavis turns punishment into a card game, because apparently murder needs flair. One bad draw means death, and she sells that like it's customer service. The blue-haired kid starts sobbing, then still insists he can take it. Pathetic. Lavis grins, lands the winning blow, and mocks his tiny courage. She basically calls him a criminal for hesitating, then offers fake mercy. The card flips, and somehow he pulls a 4, which is comedy tier luck. Her 7 lands too, and the smug demon realizes she just lost. Lavis explodes into victorious laughter, while the kid collapses into relief. Then he starts crying to the demon lord, promising lifelong devotion for survival. The arena crackles white-hot, as the blue-haired boy stares down doom. Then he breaks into tears, still pretending he can endure this. Lavis answers with one clean strike, mocking his flimsy courage mercilessly. She roasts his hesitation as criminal, then dangles fake mercy. The gamble flips absurdly, and Namuja pulls a ridiculous 4. Her 7 lands too, because the demon realm loves humiliating timing. Lavis erupts in vicious laughter, while the boy nearly folds apart, and suddenly Namuja is worshipping her, begging to serve forever. Elsewhere, that same madness stains the cathedral walls like a warning. Then the real question hits. What monster is executioner Namuja? The horned brat stands smugly, already tasting victory over everyone. Then the room shatters as Lavis demands his filthy dice smashed. Minho's cruelty surfaces again, because humiliating people is apparently his hobby. Yet demon laws chain that power, and executioners can't kill privately. 3 masked officials corner the corpse, proving this circus has rules. Minho sneers at their loyalty, acting offended by the filth he created. Lavis only laughs harder, praising his luck with vicious, gleeful contempt. That leaves Namuja rewritten as a living execution wraith, not a victim. Now his fate hangs on a single absurd gamble, like garbage tossed out, and the whole mess ends with him betting his life on probability. The green-haired idiot turns the whole room into a death bet, laughing like chaos is cute, while Minho slices through the arrogance, making life the price of entertainment, because humans usually can't be killed here, unless the guest is demonic enough. So the scene widens to the school, where nobody can pretend this is gossip anymore, and the family starts moving assets, dispatching lawyers while acting disgusting about control, as the black-haired mother pins Minho as a man obsessed with appearances. Then her driver pushes evidence hunting, daring him to face the fallout alone, but backup is already moving, and even CEO Jung won't just watch this circus. So the convoy splits through the night, with rescue and retaliation both on the road, and she swears, no matter what it takes, their children won't be touched. Yuri stares blankly, already sensing this disaster just got uglier. Outside, the convoy slams forward, because subtlety died hours ago. The blue-haired girl and her snide ally panic as rescue crashes in. The wrecked road proves the chase turned into a full-on extraction. Somebody's still trapped under pressure, reduced to disposable baggage. Minho keeps smiling, cradling the girl like this. Whole mess amuses him. Then Barkin drops in, and the timing is so perfect it's insulting. Even the watchers lose their minds, recognizing a bigger monster has arrived. He frames it as a family visit, which is rich coming from this chaos. So the dice fly again, and the whole nightmare dares fate to answer. Lavis Vindica's third eye lights up, and the brag starts getting ugly fast, while the battlefield answers with blood, steel, and a very rude reminder, because Minho is still grinning through the carnage, acting impossibly untouchable, and Lavis just laughs, treating this whole rematch like a game she owns. Then the dice roll again, because apparently fate is her favorite punching bag, and the impact explodes into a demon-shaped blast nobody in the room can ignore, leaving Jin Jae-hee staring up like a textbook definition of regret, as the green-haired gambler realizes luck was never talent, just delusion, and even the crowd can feel the pressure spike when Minho keeps pushing, so the nightmare swells higher, with Lavis staring back like she planned it. Lim Sion is screaming for Minho, because panic finally found the room, and the green-haired gambler still talks like genius saved him from stupidity, but Levi's demonic laughter turns the whole bet into a personal slaughter, while Minho calmly mocks him for waking up 300 years too late. As Lim Sion tries to track the logic, clinging to survival math, the gambler then panics. Realizing talent was just confidence with bad posture, yet he still throws harder power forward. Acting like that fixes humiliation, and the dice start flying everywhere, each roll taunting his collapsing luck, until Lavis answers with purple flames and a smug high five from hell, because someone who mastered probability treats failure like a joke. Minho's blade meets that smug confidence head-on, and the room already feels smaller. Then purple force detonates across the hall, turning his grandstanding into expensive confetti, because the demon backing this disaster is laughing, thrilled she found a real toy. So the attacker lunges harder, trying to save his pride with louder power, but Minho folds through the assault and rockets past him, looking downright bored. Then he admits the hit only worked thanks to Mara's absurd endurance boost. While the green-haired gambler starts bragging like luck has a personality, which is adorable, Minho cuts him off, calmly declaring that he decides the outcome anyway. The dice keep spinning under Lavis' cruel cheer, each roll daring fate to blink, and of course the jackpot lands, because humiliation was the only thing ever guaranteed. Jin Jae-hee practically lights up at the jackpot, finally believing luck picked him. Then the jackpot detonates into purple chaos, turning his smug grin into instant regret. Minho eats the blast and keeps standing, because apparently pain is optional now. Even his opponent's backup plan collapses, leaving only a very expensive-looking panic. The green-haired gambler starts boasting again. And wow, confidence is a terminal condition. Minho shuts that nonsense down, acting like fate works for him personally. Lavis watches the whole mess like a delighted tyrant, naming favorites and losers. Minho presses her on his strength, and her answer is disgustingly proud. He then realizes the monitoring fools are useless, which is honestly embarrassing. And just like that, the die stops pretending, while he stares dead serious. Namuja's still posturing, while Minho casually confirms Morgus already got exposed. The gambler spirals, and Minho smugly reminds him he basically snitched himself. Then the green-haired clown keeps betting louder, because shame clearly missed him. Lavis doubles the stakes again, and the magic circle starts grinning. Minho walks through the attack anyway, while the room's confidence evaporates. Even the blade barrage barely slows him, which is humiliating for everyone watching. Lavis laughs at the spectacle, treating his suffering like premium entertainment. Minho questions her logic, and she answers with pure demonic arrogance. The collapsing circle proves the setup is failing, so she mocks their victories. Then the dice reset again, and Minho stares like this circus is over. Under the neon chaos, the green-haired gambler realizes the snake-eyed attack is real, while Minho keeps cutting through purple slaughter like the room's worst joke. Then he coolly demands to know whether everyone tied to the gamble got devoured, and the magic circle answers with grotesque arrogance, screaming that it ate them all. As the dice reset uselessly, the whole ritual starts looking broken and desperate. Even the clownish bettor lunges for a high five, still dying on bravado, but Minho crushes the momentum with another purple blast, blowing the confidence apart, leaving the green-haired fool staring like luck itself just slapped him awake. because Minho's glare says something is horribly wrong with the dice now, and the gambler finally hears the nightmare truth, his own throw repeating exactly. Lim Sion stares at the dice nightmare, realizing this is not bluffing anymore, and the bloodied authority beside him flatly confirms he's asking if survival is possible, while Minho breaks down the odds, mocking the absurd reroll like a cheap casino scam. Then the numbers collapse into near impossibility, and the room's confidence starts rotting, but Minho just grins through the blood, informing them the dice are already rigged, as the gambler watches the repeated throws explode across the floor, his bravado finally snapping, because Minho explains the real trick is simple DNA inheritance, not luck or prayer, and the green-haired fool recoils at DNA and blood, suddenly understanding nothing, naturally, while Minho clarifies this is just human science, replication, memory, and transmission, meaning the blood membrane can copy battle memory. And that's the horrifying cheat. Even the gambler blanks out here, because blood membrane sounds ridiculous. Then Minho's blood starts scattering everywhere, and the scam looks uglier. The green-haired fool panics over DNA. Acting shocked science exists. Minho keeps smiling through the gore, promising the jackpot was never random. Those dice keep tumbling, but the real trick is inheritance, not luck. And of course, the gambler freaks out again when the same attack returns. Minho calls it noble blood, like that somehow makes this disaster classy. Blood carries immunity, so the first hit already wrote the answer. His body remembers attacks, and the second swing gets mocked on sight. Then the magic starts getting swallowed, and the whole bluff finally collapses. Minho grins through the blood, promising the jackpot comes back unchanged. Then the punchline lands, because inheritance not luck was always the real bet. Jin Jae-hee panics at the science lesson, shocked. DNA actually matters here. Minho twists the agony into noble blood, and the smugness gets uglier. The first hit already failed, so the second one just looks embarrassing. Magic gets swallowed whole, and that swagger finally starts collapsing in public. Jin Jae-hee shrieks about Rabus, then realizes endurance was the whole trick. The backlash keeps ripping through him, while Minho keeps that devilish calm. The room tilts into chaos as dice, power, and terror fly everywhere, and Minho seals the humiliation, insisting this misery is exactly the point. Minho answers the invite with blood in his face and pure contempt, while the cursed dice keep pulsing, like fate itself is smirking again. Back at the house, Lord Barkin gets announced with ridiculous timing, because Minho's mother nearly died, and now everyone's acting important. Lavis complains about her clothes, then mocks the human world routine, and that smug act crashes when Yuri calls her out as disgusting. The taunts escalate fast, with Lavis threatening to rip out his adaptation, but Yuri spits back, calling him a dirty pervert to his face. So Lavis lunges into total tantrum mode, screaming betrayal and rage, and Seongjun coolly tallies the damage, praising Minho's 2 Black Throne powers. So Namuja had no clue Morgus was using him as bait, just a disposable gambling loser. The kind bosses love pretending is useful, and now the trace hunt gets uglier, because the barrier blocks everything, while that smug black-haired guy calmly confirms Bauer was released again, meaning Morgus may wander in on his own, which is somehow worse. But the real chaos is Banbi snapping about Jung Taesik, clogging the whole plan, because apparently a small gift was left behind, and yes, it was a wallet, plus the footage of Taesik hiring President Hong for murder, deliciously incriminating. So Seongjun praises Strit like this was basic homework, not disaster management, and then casually asks if Banbi is leaving soon, because the room never stops scheming. Inside the room, the magenta demon keeps flexing, while the others freeze, because the brat still thinks screaming about demon permission changes anything, which it doesn't. Then he panics when the humiliation lands, and the uncle line turns vicious, as the scene cuts to the hospital, where the accident looks outwardly manageable, but the doctors quietly frame the real damage as shock, not bruises, and the adult in blue thanks them, while the patient barely hangs on. Then the goodbye comes too smoothly, like everyone's pretending this disaster is ordinary, with only a tense silence left behind, plus one very grim little handhold, because the family is supposedly lucky, and the father is apparently nothing like his son. Then that memory talk surfaces, proving this mess was personal long before now. School starts as a tiny society, and Taesik's report lands like a lecture. Then the teacher dismisses socializing, while some kid argues for good students only. Downstairs, the old supplier is already breaking, and the office reeks of nuisance, but the smug authority keeps sneering, acting like useless faces are a classroom problem. Somewhere nearby, the threat snaps through the hallway, sharp enough to erase bravado, and suddenly the snitch big mouth meets reality, with everyone circling Taesik again. Now the blonde loudmouth starts crumbling too, mocking fear while quietly sweating. Because one look at Taesik says the man is dangerously done with jokes, the panic spikes, the bodyguard gag becomes comedy, and that grin turns cruel, so the whole room laughs, while the cornered fool gets dragged under pressure. The hallway hums with tension as Seongjun toys with Taesik, dripping fake politeness, while calling everyone else lowly trash, because humility clearly died on his way here. Taesik answers with icy restraint, but the whole corridor already knows the power gap, and the loudmouth's confidence keeps swelling, until he starts dragging everyone into the same insult storm. Then the smug lecture rolls on, pretending society itself will protect his dignity, except the room's patience is collapsing, and Taesik's stare says jokes are officially over. One mention of Eurostatus lands like a hammer, exposing how shallow the boasting really is. Because being Haemyeong's daughter sounds impressive right up until the grown-ups start sweating, even the corporate sneer cracks a little, as Taesik quietly dismisses the whole performance, and that's when the laughing stops, since the cornered fool has finally met reality. She went chasing a secret and found that bastard instead, naturally. The office gossip spreads fast, tying assistant manager Park to the boss's daughter. Then the rumor machine gets nastier, dragging up his orphan background for sport. The boss explodes. Furious, he sacrificed everything for this marriage circus. And now betrayal stings harder, because the family humiliation is getting personal. In one petty spiral, they rewrite him as abandoned, then mocked for fatherhood. But his stare cuts through the noise, because jokes are dead now. He finally snaps, vowing never to forgive that disgraceful setup. And the confession keeps pouring out, exposing every dirty rung to promotion. So President Hong gets cornered, as the contract becomes his last lifeline. Taesik's nerves crack first, begging Jung for the contract, and the greed leak starts. Jung answers like a shark, making care sound adorable, then casually suggests murder. Taesik sells his soul on the spot, offering Haemyeong construction like pocket change. The room laughs at his desperation, while he pretends this humiliation is courage. Then the rumor machine drags up his orphan past, because Mercy died here. And the photo of Seo Joo-hee's family turns his ego into a public funeral. Jung keeps smiling, demanding he crawl back to his place. Deal included, Taesik finally collapses into raw confession, while Seo Joo-hee and the child break. The last insult lands clean, because his grown man act was always paper thin. Now even his own family name sounds cursed, and nobody's laughing anymore. Under the bright facade of Haemyeong construction, the family drama already reeks. Seo Joo-hee begs to raise Minho and Minha alone. And wow, bold fantasy. Taesik sneers that she still does not understand reality, then orders her back. He even whines about bloodline shame, while her face twists in stunned protest. The door opens on President Hong, and Taesik instantly stiffens into politeness. Hong introduces Taesik as the company's best man, as if that fixes everything. Then comes the cruel sales pitch, praising a daughter with 2 children, and Joo-hee realizes she is being packaged like a convenient problem to accept. Taesik grips her hand, babbling about doing his best, though the damage is obvious. Even if they were not blood, he says he tried, but nobody buys it. Taesik starts with a smug breakdown, blaming fate for warping their beginning. Then he rolls in like a bargain bin prince, acting absurdly pleased with himself. He even brags about chasing the prize, as if effort excuses everything. But the family script turns radioactive when Joo-hee begs over her missing husband. Her son's birthday plea lands like a knife, and Taesik freezes hard. The kid spirals into tears, asking if mom forgot dad for her replacement. Joo-hee clutches him, insisting she still loves his father, even now. Taesik panics at the answer, sputtering in wounded disbelief, then rage. Suddenly Hez ranting about abandoned kids and backstabbing trash. Real classy. Like a final insult, he boasts about taking in the children anyway. The lecture starts cold, with classism dressed up as concern, and nobody's buying it. Then Taesik goes nuclear, bragging he killed Seo Joo-hee's husband and father. He doubles down by dragging Minho into it, like murder is networking. Even his failed assassination gets sold as luck, which is hilariously pathetic. Seo Joo-hee just lies there, while he smugly predicts that luck will rot. So he shifts into threat mode, every word dripping with ugly, practiced cruelty. Now he's basically saying sleep forever, because that's apparently his parenting style. The door shuts behind him, leaving the room with that disgusting confidence. Seo Joo-hee stays frozen in bed, swallowing the silence like a wound, and that calm face says she heard every threat, and remembered them all. Seo Joo-hee's tears spill over in a silence already soaked with guilt, and the child clings to her. Hearing Minho dragged into father talk, Taesik snaps at the sentimentality, stunned that she still loves him. Then he weaponizes that hurt face, because of course he does, stalking out with gifts and menace like a man selling disaster, while she's told his dead father still watches from heaven. Charming garbage, and the child is ordered not to cry, lest the replacement father feel bad, because apparently grief now needs permission from this smug little tyrant, as the new dad gets praised like a saint, which is laughable, and Juhi's smile goes fragile, meaning she heard every threat and kept it. Taesik's name hangs in the air, and Juhi's tears finally spill, because this smug bastard just turned heartbreak into a political weapon. The school, the family, and the gossip machine all close in, trembling, while everyone hears how she still cares, and that only fuels him. Even the quiet hallway talk turns ugly, because election day is here, and Bambi's warning lands hard, with Taesik threatening both women anyway. Lim Seon tries acting calm, but his eyes scream panic, as the towering apartment looms like proof this mess has already spread. Then the results hit, and young Taesik is officially crowned mayor. The room erupts in fake congratulations, because cocky losers love victory speeches. First, the house turns into a victory lounge, and the sycophants start clapping. While Taesik's election glow gets blasted across the TV like propaganda, his aides keep hyping the interview rush, because apparently one win feeds an ego forever, and Taesik, naturally, acts offended by the speed of his own worship. Then the door frame rattles, which is never a good sign in this mess, and that nervous little movement means someone finally decides to enter. The pressure lands on Juhi immediately, with the room reminding her she's now the mayor's wife. She sits there silent, crushed under the kids and reputation speech, because subtlety died hours ago. Taesik snaps at the delay, yanking his tie and demanding the staff hurry, while Huhei just stares downward, already knowing this celebration is rotten. A polished hand offers the tie, and the whole room smells fake. Taesik basks in the win, while his aides worship the ego, naturally. Juhi stays frozen there, hearing victory dressed up as charity. Then the smug little ceremony turns creepy, with the tie pressed forward. Taesik soaks up praise, completely convinced he's untouchable now, but the tone shifts fast, and the interview gets bluntly cancelled. His face twists in disbelief, like betrayal is somehow not his hobby. That hand finally grabs him hard, and the suit starts wrinkling real fast. He loses all dignity, shrieking as the grip says consequences are here. Juhi's quiet warning lands last, because this victory was never safe. Seo Juhi tightens the leash on his neck, and the smug game starts dying. Taesik grabs for dignity, but her grip turns his arrogance into panic, fast, because she calmly reminds him of the hospital stunt, and his ugly history. Then she drops the murder order accusation, plus that pathetic kill attempt, like receipts, and just when he thinks this is theater, she uploads everything online, with police already getting the corruption packet, because subtlety clearly was never his talent. Taesik's face caves in as the phone turns into his executioner, while Huhi explains the whole investigation is already moving, and his allies are cooked, so when she snarls that he stole her happy time, he finally recognizes her, and the breaking news hits, sealing his downfall in glorious, public humiliation. Taesik's polished face cracks as the first accusation lands, and his ego leaks out, while the room hears a murder confession tied to Seo Jongwon, plus his son. The next blow slams into him hard, and even his tablet becomes useless, because the evidence shatters across the screen, turning his grand setup into rubble. Then Juhi coolly slides the suicide speed threat of prison into the conversation, reminding him 20 years is the minimum, and his little heroes look pathetic. She keeps twisting the knife, saying he can rot where sunlight never reaches, and when she names Seo Juhi, Taesik finally realizes this is personal. His phone is snatched away as the recording keeps running, sealing the ruin. Then he bolts in panic while Juhi stands there, owning the humiliation. She starts by roasting him, promising a lifetime of fear and ruin, then tightens the sentence further, making every tomorrow feel hunted and watched, while the chained victim gets cursed for everyone he used and trampled. And in the parking garage, Taesik finally panics, blundering over the evidence, because that awful recording is the dagger now, not his polished little setup. Then the pink-haired monster steps in, treating his swagger like landfill, and Taesik instantly folds, screaming for police help and mercy instead, only to get a silent, smug look that says he's already finished, before the first brutal hit launches him backward, pride and all, and the room watches the so-called boss get flattened like a joke. Minho's praise lands like a smug verdict, because he's already clocked everyone's real value, and Taesik's confident face gets dragged straight into humiliation, courtesy of a hand in panic, since the evidence has finally flipped the script, exposing his little death scheme for what it was. Then Manhwa answers with monstrous confidence, treating the law like a paper napkin, while Taesik keeps whining about weakness, as if excuses ever stopped a beating. But Manhwa remembers the short-lived father role, and turns that into a very nasty gift, so the mask comes out, and Taesik's face turns into pure, desperate disbelief, because even with the explanation, The assault keeps escalating, and he's clearly not in control. Now the demonic side of the deal is fully awake, ripping the mask and his pride apart, and the whole parking garage learns the hard way that swagger does not survive this monster. Purple force slams through his defense, and the smug axe shatters instantly, because Minho says there's nowhere left to run. Wow, what a tragedy. Then he opens that hellish aura and drags Taesik straight into it, while Taesik starts begging like authority was ever going to save him, and Minho casually explains, this is the hell his pervert uncle built, a place for endless suffering, which is honestly a humiliating upgrade. He even reminds everyone the bastard still had Ognal, because of course he did. Meanwhile, the demon child relaxes in the grass, calling the monster pitifully sleepy, before the horned girl snaps, blaming him for tormenting her brother and striking back, but the pink-haired demon just grabs her throat, proving swagger dies fast. Ognal's mask becomes the punchline, while filth crawls through every grotesque crack, and Lavis spells out the horror, because apparently subtlety died years ago. Then the pink-haired brute lunges in, all swagger and zero self-preservation, but Yuri snaps back, calling him a pervert and slapping down his nonsense, yet he barrels forward again, threatening to throw her back into fire, as the school block looms outside, quietly promising this disaster spread everywhere. Then the mood flips to finality, with a frame and a soft goodbye, while the mother vows protection, clutching proof like it might stop tragedy. Her tears say everything, because regret always shows up after the damage, and even now, she begs Honey to watch over them. The brute's confidence collapses fast, and the punishment gets ugly. Then the pink-haired menace mocks happiness, like a complete idiot. Lavis fires back, twisting his swagger into a public humiliation. The blonde beside him stays deadpan, already judging the whole circus. He panics, exposed for chasing trouble instead of control. Lavis keeps roasting him, linking her rescue of Minho's mother. The threat finally cracks, furious that she chose him herself. Then his fury gets redirected into a brutal reminder about Minha. A mother's protective stare rises through the smoke, sharper than violence. And that was willpower, the weak kind that terrifies monsters. The pink-haired demon snaps first, demanding answers as the smug blonde gets exposed, and the blonde, deadpan as ever, acts offended by the drama he started. He admits demons can't love humans, which is adorable coming from this mess. Then the pink brute declares hell be the exception, because subtlety is dead, and suddenly the whole romance argument turns into a competition nobody asked for, while the green-haired witness explains that one lucky hit revealed hidden evidence, letting him expose Taesik's collapse through footage, timing, and pure opportunistic nerve. He even brags that Veltius hit unlocked sites nobody else could access. And the final reveal lands hard, with a split personality surfacing again, leaving everyone frozen as the circus proves itself even crazier than expected. Minho toys with the mask problem, while Lavis backs him up effortlessly. He claims the murder proof worked, and the blue-haired girl hates how neatly it did. The group reaches the Demon Association, already looking broke and suspicious. Inside, they get told to bring Rebus in, like this circus has paperwork. Minho brushes off human laziness, and the demon girl grins at his nonsense. The building looks ancient, yet everyone still acts surprised it represents demons. Lavis asks which noble family owns it, and the chairman's human. The answer lands, then Rabus gets ushered in like expensive baggage. Inside, the tiny lord welcomes him, already smelling trouble and old secrets. Minho sighs, checks him, and the ridiculous ordinary human act collapses. Lavis needles the room's human body disguise, and Seongjun answers with icy deflection. Then the so-called humble meeting turns into a grim briefing. With Lavis watching, the green-haired witness swears he just learned about the civilian massacre today. Even the smiling old captive only knew enough to suspect something rotten. So they visit the ruined scene, where the victim's misery still hangs everywhere. The collapse below answers first, with firefighters hearing screams and begging for help. One rescuer spots a survivor and charges in like the rare competent adult. Another worker kneels beside the injured man, promising to pull everyone out. But the trapped father panics, refusing rescue because his child is buried inside. And that desperate grip says everything. This disaster is now a family tragedy. Buried alive, the father begs rescue, terrified of losing his child, and the firefighter demands the kid's name, trying to stay useful, but the answer cracks through the rubble, Kareem, and the man breaks. Because even trapped in disaster, he still knows the school and village. Then he admits his son is down there, and panic finally gets honest. With the school bombed, no one can promise whether Kareem lived, so the rescue team gets dispatched, while families everywhere may be falling apart, and the poor man refuses to move, choosing his son over survival, because abandoning them now would betray comrades, citizens, and every surviving shred of duty, so he commits to saving whoever's closest. even if that means only you and Kareem. Hez begging for trust now, desperate enough to invoke comrades and Kareem, while the rescuers clamp onto his hand, knowing release means disaster, because a child still buried under that wreckage won't survive, abandoned, and the rubble answers with violence, spitting dust like the school itself is mocking them. The helmeted rescuer locks in hard, all nerves and sweat, then demands the child's safety, because panic only gets useful when it finally remembers who's still missing, and there he is, the father clutching Kareem like a miracle, sobbing through the wreck, while the kid thanks him through tears, as if survival came cheap. That relief barely lasts, because the rescuer knows the count still isn't finished, and the next crack in the darkness proves this nightmare is not done yet. The rubble finally gives up the truth, and the rescuer freezes. A buried child is alive, while the father clutches him like victory. Then the hooded demon confirms the clue, casually labeling responsibility, and that one eye under the scarf makes the whole room look stupid. Sion pieces it together, realizing the father chose family over everything, but still dragged himself through the madness, because abandoning them was never the plan. So the adult's demon games suddenly sound pathetic, compared with his loyalty, while Sion realizes he never understood why that anger felt different. Minho, Lavis, and Namuja all fit the same miserable pattern, somehow, and Sion decides no demons get to steal that desperation. Seongjun coolly recasts empathy as exhausting, then quietly needles the room. Lim Sion stares down the clue, realizing Serkale's fragment lived inside humans. The blue-haired elder smugly cites Bonbei, selling divine scraps like market gossip. Seongjun plays enlightened, as if ancient lore somehow excuses his circus. Then the myth opens wide, and the primordial god splits reality in half. The demon realm gets tears instead of light, because apparently even gods pity it. Humanity receives a mirror, which sounds noble until you see the warning label. One side shines, the other mourns, and people get compared like livestock. Those mirror shards scatter into humans, carrying responsibility, sacrifice, and memory. The elder finally lands the punchline. Humans inherit these burdens from one another. There was once a father, and his family became the whole battlefield, so he shoved survival aside and took the raiders head on. How heroic. The little girl watched every swing, because trauma apparently has front row seating, and the child just stared while the man became a mirror of duty. Then that invisible responsibility settled into her heart. Because burdens love backups, the lesson was simple. Humans pass down the weight they survive, and that first bright fragment was called Miracle, which sounds noble until it isn't, because generations kept handing down lives, pain, and pride like family heirlooms, until Morgus reached in and twisted that inheritance, corrupting the shine, starting with dignity, naturally, because Ruin always loves the good stuff. Numbers replaced names, and efficiency started wearing a human face. Then Panic asked if killing people was somehow still acceptable, because doubt collapsed, dignity split off, and morality got audited, while Morgus reached for the gap, turning belief into a weapon, and the era quietly learned monsters were just twisted humans, since humanity's finest trick was passing itself down, generation by generation, until that stolen fragment got corrupted, its purity reversed on contact, and only then did everybody notice the world cracking open, asking whether Morgus already held 2 fragments, which is hilarious, because now the tally was 3, and the disaster felt official. At last, Seongjun mocks the silence, asking why heaven and demons keep watching. The blue-haired elder answers with that smug old wisdom, humans barely matter. Then she gets nastier, calling mankind neutral, unwanted by both sides anyway. Seongjun sharpens it further, because collapse makes every monster suddenly interested. Lim Sion stares dead ahead, realizing gods may actually start a war. Seongjun flatly confirms the demon realm is unstable, and destruction sounds inevitable. Lavis then grins through the chaos, calling Morgus a problem, and herself human. She admits her legs were specially made, and notices that aura. Everyone else freezes while Lavis flaunts the absurd upgrade like a trophy. Then the elder beams, claiming Veltia's arrival has her overjoyed, obviously. The old matron sells a welcome ceremony for Lady Veltia, with a straight face, naturally, then pivots to the demon realm mess, leaving the old man politely crushed and humiliated, while Seongjun escalates the lecture and Lim Sion realizes gods may start wars, so the black-haired boss announces the demon realm is unstable, and Minho's circle moves. Then the elder smiles at Veltia's arrival. Like trouble is basically her favorite dessert, as Lavis addresses Lord Rabus and begs for the human world's mercy. Mockingly enough, the tiny demon and the plant messenger enter the clinic-side setup, all innocent-looking, where a kid proudly explains the kidney bean grandchild dragged home, then abandoned, and the blue-haired girl admits she is too busy, sending the plant to Miss Stritt. Finally, The potted sprout gets handed over as everyone awkwardly debates naming it. Lavis cackles over Kaknaingi, while the old master nods along, absurdly pleased. Then comes the growing manual, because apparently even bean children need homework. The elder lays down the rule: naming something means owning its disaster. Lavis immediately connects that warning to Lord Rabus and her own origin, so she orders the sprout handled gently. Like responsibility suddenly became fashionable. The old woman falls silent, and that smug little smile says she knows everything. Meanwhile, the boys trudge to school, joking the world may end before finals. One of them still screams about saving the world, and gets roasted by reality. Then the tiny demon girl bursts in, shouting hello like chaos is a hobby. And by the end, she's sprinting to school, because of course she is. Campus tension spikes fast, because the black-haired boy just got socially nuked, and his green-haired friend realizes this welcome ceremony is already going horribly sideways. Then reality slaps the loudmouth down so hard he practically faceplants his pride, while the pink-haired menace strolls in like substitute teaching is some family hobby, only to have the black-haired boy panic over why this lunatic is here too, and the answer lands uglier. Since the demon-linked brute is already embarrassing him by casually claiming he came as the demon realm's messenger, what a flex, which only makes the boy rage harder, demanding father's logic instead of nonsense, before the pink-haired idiot admits he should have been sent to solitary confinement, as the school looms above them, looking far too normal for this circus. Fresh off that miracle, she's already daydreaming about school life, cocky and glowing, while the green-haired messenger drops a uniform gift like corporate diplomacy in a gift bag, then smugly praises her mother's gratitude, because apparently everyone's in on the charade, and she just stares at the odd little tool, realizing the joke wasn't over, since that tiny thing is a coin wallet, and yes, she's suddenly rich now, which sends the blonde man into that infuriatingly pleased grin, acting like generosity fixed everything, so the girl practically melts, convinced normal school days are finally hers, because now she can go with friends too, and somehow even burning things is off the menu, until first period slams into the fantasy, and a classmate gets hit with her panic, leaving the poor girl screaming apologies as the room remembers reality again. The class goes dead silent, and even her weird hands freeze mid-panic. Under that spotlight, the whole room studies Minho like a spectacle, while the basketball hoop gossip confirms her first day is already cursed, and everyone starts diagnosing Jinjae-hee's borrowed body like a cheap problem, because the kids around Lavis are obviously terrified of her. Naturally, so the smug mouth in the back keeps explaining why Minho got this mess. Then the demon brawl explodes as Lavis hammers pink hair straight down, and the black-haired brat begs the uncle to return to the demon realm, but the pink gremlin still mocks him, swinging like he owns the room, until Minho shuts it down, saying he's needed in the human world. The gossip gets nastier fast, and the first insult lands on Minho's family, then pink hair overplays his hands, and gets flattened for his trouble, while the gray-haired nerd watches, realizing this is not normal school life, because Minho treats the whole disaster like a demon realm war now, and the scene cuts wide, showing just how far this mess has spread, as Lavis keeps dragging the adults for making him attend the same school, while the muscle-brained hothead mocks the uncle's taste in women, and Sion actually wonders if loving demons is really that outrageous, with Lavis calmly insisting demon love exists, even if demons sneer back, until the whole realm's hypocrisy hangs there, glowing purple and pathetic. At sunset, Lim Sion clocks the mess, and immediately calls Uncle crazy. Then the glasses kid gets poetic about violence, somehow calling it romantic, but the black-haired student just drags him back down, because delusion is expensive, as the blue-haired demon girl stares ahead, and the whole courtyard starts feeling haunted, with Lavis shrinking into the frame, while everybody else pretends this isn't her spotlight, until the demon girl in red cheerfully accuses the boy of fleeing, and his ego evaporates, leaving the dark-haired authority figure to answer with one silent, deeply unimpressed glare. Then the next morning arrives like nothing happened, which is honestly insulting, and the girl still skips along campus, acting cute after yesterday's apocalypse, while the following morning proves the routine survived, but the dignity did not. Afternoon in the hallway, and she's already moving like defeat has a schedule. By morning, she's back in uniform, pretending the apocalypse was just cardio. Then the next afternoon, the same gloomy walk, same cursed backpack, until some idiot finally snaps, overacting like nobody has ever noticed him. The whole campus hears his lonely little meltdown, and wow, tragic performance art, she answers with full panic, rambling about school like consequences are optional. Adults nearby start reframing everything, because blaming children is apparently a hobby. One unimpressed stare later, the nonsense begins collapsing under its own weight. She stares back, tears and all, while the nervous boy keeps twisting the knife, and suddenly the different approach is just more humiliation with better lighting. Hess already choking on the truth, admitting everyone bolts when he gets near, while the smug authority keeps pushing him to prove he's changed now, but the tearful kid just folds harder, whining that this still isn't it, and the black-haired judge calmly twists the knife, dragging up old accidents. Then the desperate boy spirals into self-pity, claiming guilt is all he's got, before he boasts that making friends would somehow cure his creepy attachment that backfires instantly, because the class answers with pure, violent embarrassment, and he detonates into a pathetic tantrum, demanding loyalty like it's romance. Then he doubles down with the worst apology strategy imaginable, still unrepentant, until the whole scene collapses into campus-wide silence and secondhand shame. In the school lunch haze, Minho gets caught mid-humiliation, demanding answers through a bloody nose, and the whole kitchen setup is suddenly all about flavor, because apparently mild misery counts as gourmet now, while the wild-haired girl sulks over the doll, then spits venom about Rabus like a petulant noble, but Lavis stays dazzlingly smug, accepting the trinket as if this circus was her idea all along, and when she reveals humans obsess over these things, the joke lands harder than the gift itself, because she barely understands taste, yet still explains Minha's warning with maddeningly calm confidence. Then the doll gets dismissed as useless trash, which only makes her look more adorable and more dangerous, until Minho points out everyone's first reaction is always the price, not the sentiment, and the line about early morning lining up makes the crowd's jealousy sound painfully ordinary, so the gift becomes proof of devotion, and the room eats its own second-hand embarrassment. Her tears glitter like royalty, but the room's already done with her drama, so the blue-haired demon girl munches dinner, and insults land like confetti. Then she checks on Lady Veltia, acting concerned while staying gloriously smug, because apparently even pain is not spicy when your standards are hilariously warped. Outside, the black-haired student keeps walking, backpack loaded with the shame, and a tiny mascot dangles from her bag, looking like a cursed charm. Then the corridor turns petty, as rumors about family money start flying, which somehow morphs into accusations about flirting, tutoring, and social climbing. She panics, begs, and promises silence, but the mockery keeps tightening, until Seongjun's glare makes the whole hallway feel like a public execution. The hallway turns savage fast, and brown-haired girl gets the first warning. She panics, apologizes, and gray-haired student folds spectacularly under pressure. Then Seongjun drops in, making the whole schoolyard feel jury-rigged and judged. Rumors start flying, and everyone suddenly remembers Jin Jae-hee's embarrassing title. Minho finally snaps back, treating the seatmate drama like a personal offense. The panic doubles as both students mouth off, then instantly regret existing. Jin Jae-hee keeps whining about Oppa Youngmoo, which is honestly pathetic. Minho answers with a ruthless charge, humiliating the mascot job excuse. The fight explodes into chaos, with threats, pain, and screaming flying everywhere. By sunset, firefighters and a detective arrive. Because this mess graduated to a disaster, the hallway turns into a hunt, and the loudmouth already regrets overplaying his hand, because the gray bob girl catches his face, and that smugness evaporates instantly. Then she rushes in, checking on Sujong while he spirals into pure embarrassment, and the apology starts sprinting down the corridor, barely keeping dignity alive, while the curly-haired menace just trails off, realizing nobody is buying his act, because the gray bob girl had only asked if he was okay, and wow, tragic. The room goes dead silent, all that swagger collapsing into one humiliating pause, until his glasses end up on the floor, the ultimate little comedy trophy, and outside, the school sits calm, pretending this didn't become a full disaster, while Seongjun's whole scene lands on the desk like public judgment, right on cue. A pair of glasses gets plucked up, setting this whole little disaster in motion. Then the gray bob girl admits she found them yesterday. Like that helps, because the black curl menace decides the fit is perfect and starts fixing things, leaving her flustered thanks behind, while the room quietly winces for her, until the poor boy faceplants over the desk clutching a tiny plush prize. Wow. And the gray bob girl finally asks where that doll came from. Suspicious now, only to hear it was basically a gifted apology from some mysterious helper, which makes her realize she wanted one too. Because apparently envy has standards, and then the whole table hears the final boast that her appa bought it. Naturally. I wanted to go there with you, and somehow that hit way harder. With me? Yeah, that spark of hope nearly melts her whole face. So she grins, grabs the doll, and sells the fantasy like a pro, even promising glasses fixes and titubaki, because apparently bribery is romance. Meanwhile, the curly menace clutches her prize, glowing like she won life itself. Then she blurts that she can eat it, and after school sounds perfect, just as the hallway energy widens into a whole campus goodbye ritual, because the cloaked watcher stands under a bruised sky, pure bad news, while command lands on Danecore, and Morgus starts the pilgrimage. The old woman's warning hangs there, because stopping him sounds impossible already, while evilous loyal idiots salute the mission like that name means anything. Then the goggled lead spots Morgus, and acts like he discovered fire, ordering the team to pin him here, as if courage pays rent, but the target only keeps moving, leaving nothing behind but dust, and that red zone marker stretches open, swallowing the sky like a warning, before the whole squad drops in, all teeth, guns, and bad decisions, with Alpha Team screaming into the descent, looking terrifyingly overconfident, until special rounds light up the air and the ambush turns real. The pilgrimage path erupts as the cloaked target gets boxed in, and the lead operative finally spots Morgus, barking orders like genius pays. Then the red-haired brute charges in screaming, only to eat the first punishment, because flashy muscle means nothing when the floor starts hitting back, and the blue-haired opponent keeps pressuring from afar. So brave of them, while the target answers with a shot that sends one fool spinning, then that same red menace swings anyway, still convinced his special, before another blast launches him screaming through the air, embarrassingly fast, and the last roar shakes everything, proving this ambush was doomed. The ambush turns into a slaughter, as Morgus soaks up punishment, and the hunters panic, while the red-haired brute drops into the frame, all muscle and zero wisdom, already doomed, as command fumes in the sky and the ugly truth hits them. Alpha Team is gone, yet the goggled leader keeps barking for Plan B, because apparently humiliation needs structure, and the ring tightens around Morgus, the so-called target, as orders demand he be stopped, while the hooded authority calmly reminds everyone the Demon King still wants him back, making the whole speech about unity sound hilariously fake, when it is really just intimidation, but the masked ranks still fire together, pretending noble purpose somehow excuses the chaos, until the cloaked pilgrim coolly declares this path ends here, and the red-haired idiot loses again. The purple storm finally swallows the room, and the red brute gets pinned, while Lavis twists midair and orders her reinforcements like this was planned, which is adorable, because the Mask Brigade realizes Alpha Team is gone, and their glorious counterattack turns into a flying pileup of broken confidence. Then the musclehead learns the hard way that Uldruk can crush skulls from anywhere, while Shoesblades carve the escorts apart like they were paperwork, and Lavis, smug as ever, promises Chockley will decorate the bodies herself. By the end, the battlefield looks like a slaughtered parade of failures, with the target, the observer, and the demon girl standing untouched in the wreckage. The masked raid leader hangs above the wreckage, already celebrating, while the green-haired strongman realizes Evilas' elite squad just vanished, and Morgus gets folded back by Uldruk's reach, humiliatingly fast, because the cloaked authority had promised mercy, then priced stupidity instead. Now the minion screams that Lord Rabus has entered human territory, and Lavis, half hidden in shadow, coolly names him Robbie's Vindika, mocking him as a spoiled bloodline brat, not a real threat. Then she promises his own arrogance will someday get him butchered, as the battlefield erupts overhead and the survivors stay untouched. Evilas' tough guy gets folded fast, and the sky keeps whispering. Above him, that blue void just hangs there, smug and merciless. Even the cloaked authority pauses, then admits arrogance was the real disease. Meanwhile, the hooded mastermind calls human territory a joke with venom. Lavis then twists the knife, naming Rabus Vindika like spoiled royalty. She snatches the mirror fragment, reciting humanity's noble little origin story. Then comes the lesson. Responsibility got dumped, because everyone loves passing blame. So of course, humans were abandoned here, unfinished and structurally pathetic. And as the purple strikes rain down, the battlefield stays embarrassingly helpless. The hooded demon keeps slashing through the purple storm, utterly unbothered, while the enemy kneels broken, clutching blood and bad decisions on the ground, and the void fire keeps chewing through defenses like this was always inevitable, because Lavis wants order now, after this whole mess got embarrassing, so she sneers at the abandoned crowd and their godless, pitiful inheritance. Then she flips the cosmic script, turning 7 shattered fragments into a gateway, and calls out the one who left her, offering a twisted reunion, while the scythe shadow writhes overhead, promising mercy in the ugliest way. Then comes the final demand: drag Rabus here, and let the reunion rot.